Devon rising on this another great night. As you know, we're coming to the end of a year, the end of a chapter that for many of us has been very trial and error. A lot of things have come to the surface that have challenged you. First, you putting yourselves into that work. I got a story I'm going to throw in there real quick. I'll be letting the room fill up. To give y'all that personal intention of understanding that this work that you're going to be going through, this level that we're going to in that mental thought process, just in the mental alone, is not meant for the weak. The things that you've been throughout the years leading up to these points, especially points like this is to get you geared up to let you know that you can go through it. You can go through anything. Once you've made it through these levels, you can make it damn near through anything. I was taking a moment of reflection earlier today on my out and about, and I really thought about the moves that I had to make, the steps that I had to take, the moves that I had to make in order to expand. Because my mind was already expanding, my mental was already expanding, I was already in that mental space, but I found myself getting stuck. So as I got further away, it's similar to, I remember in the movie Hancock, he found his wife that was separated from, was the white chick that he was with, and then when he was around her, he was weaker, but the further away from her, he was stronger. This goes into the aspects of coming into your rebirth. Everything that you want, this is also on the thing about questioning everything. One of the biggest things that we need to question is in the aspects of what love is, or what we thought love was, or what we thought certain things were, those are going to come into question. Last week, I broke down about that a little bit, talking about the colostrum and talking about the esoteric sense of the texts that have been put in front of us that have been used on an exoteric standpoint to control us. One of the biggest things is the depiction of love, the depiction of family, the depiction of what's needed for us in order for us to go to the next level. I made a couple posts on my Facebook. One thing that I put on there that really stuck out to me was the aspect on the deeper understanding is, it said, I love, but you loved her. Like, yeah, she loved you. Yeah. But love and compatibility are two different things. And that's one of the biggest things that we get stuck in when we get into this phase of love versus the compatibility aspect. Your family, and we'll start with family, then we'll build up from there. Your family that you were born into, that you came into, that you decided in another space, in another realm before you came down here, that you decided that you wanted to go through certain things, certain dynamics in your life in order to help you unlock the things that you needed to unlock for yourself on this level. We seem to get attached. And we get attached based on what is actually memories. And I was having a conversation earlier, and I was told that I moved a lot. one of the things that happened to me when I moved was I moved from a space that was me and my cousin stayed up the street. My mother stayed like at the top of the neighborhood. I had like family all around in that area. Family off my mother's side, father's side, family up in the area. As I removed myself, when I finally put myself and like started taking my shit serious, I was already taking my rising in my sessions, my rise serious. But I had to know it was easy for me to take it serious at that point because I had something I could fall back on. It was easy for me to go out in the world and do whatever I wanted to do, doing what I can because I knew I had something to fall back on. I knew that after a certain amount of conversations, I knew that after a certain amount of visits, I could easily go back to my mother's. I can easily go back around one of my family members, my cousins, around my family because that's what they knew me as. They knew me in that space as he's going to go off, he's going to do some stuff, he's going to do some shit, whether it's good, positive, negative, he's going to go do some things, go through some shit. And then if something falls apart, he's going to come back. That's what I was faced with a lot of the times in my growth, because every time I came back, every time I went out every time I went too far, I always knew I could go back. I always knew I could, in that aspect, tuck my tail, swallow my pride, I can go back. It wasn't until this time when I stepped away as the receiver of the energy that I have now. I was put into my sense of rebirth. It wasn't as bad as I painted it in my head because over and over again, you know, in your mind, in your mental, you paint the worst case scenario. If I go out too far, this will happen. If I go out too far in the ocean, I'm gonna get carried away by the current. So that's why I don't go swimming. Shit like this. These types of things are the things that keep you locked into where you're at right now. It's easy for somebody to go on Facebook and post what they post. Because the worst thing Facebook is going to do is put you in Facebook jail. Your video get taken down, your pictures get taken down, something get taken down, you get some type of restriction. But you'll go back and do it again because you do what you can. Because the underlining of what you're doing is it's being followed. Depending on the phase that you're in your life, you're always going to be watched in that aspect. Watching that aspect. Bring that around full circle. We get to a point in our lives where the same shit every day is not going to cut it. You get to a point where the same shit is not going to cut it. that unity talk isn't going to cut it. That another unity talk, another I have a dream speech, another economic plan. We have to unite as one. We have to unite as a united front in front of them. We got to join these groups. We got to put this knowledge out at all costs. At this point in time, if they're not on your level, they're not on your frequency, they're not going to be there. You have to look at it that way. What's you're holding on to, there's nothing behind you. The longer that you stay looking behind you in this aspect, you're only going to be chasing your shadow. The only way you should be looking back is in the aspect of that you're looking forward. So everything that you've been through that was in your past, you should be looking through. So it should be in front of you. There's nothing behind you, because if there was something behind you, you'd be there. There's nothing behind you, because if there was something behind you, you'd be there to receive it. Everything that you've been receiving has been coming straight at you. Everything that you see as an obstacle, everything you see as a problem has been coming straight at you. Everything. Anything that you're thinking about has been coming straight at you. There has not been a sense of something pulling you back. It's only something weighing you down. You're seeing it as a problem, but it's only a shadow. It's only a reflection of you. We came into this when I brought it into this, we came into that reaping. I was talking about reaping what you sow, more in the aspect of they're reaping from what you sow. They're reaping from your need from something from them. They're reaping from something, the shit that's dead to you. The only way that it's holding on to you is because you're holding on to those memories. When I got to a point, I realized that the only reason certain people, places were in my life was because they were the physical representation of all of the memories and all of the resentments and all of the no regrets. Everything that not resentment, but repressed, everything that I repressed was in a physical form. So as long as they were there, I didn't go look at it. I didn't think about it. As long as my mother was in my life in that aspect, I didn't have to think about the things that she did that led me to where I'm at. I didn't have to do the shadow work because there was no shadow there. There was that body of light. There was a body of light sitting there that remembered me as I was and accepted me for as I was. And I didn't want to take that away in the aspect of my ego. Like, if I take this away, I don't have anything. If they took away what my father was, I don't have to think about the things that he did that were in a negative sense. You feel me? If I don't think about the things that my mom did, the things that my mother did based on what she was trying to do on her level of survival, if she's still there, if she's still that totem right there for that energy, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to go do any work. What a lot of us were doing when we're going into this rebirth phase of yourself, coming into this new year, new me, you're not removing the things that are holding you back. Because you get a benefit from them. You're not walking away from the things of your past. You're not walking away from certain aspects of your past because you still see a benefit within them. You won't make that walk away from that toxic relationship, even though you know there's no compatibility to a certain level. You're not receiving anything from that standpoint, but you're still there based on the memories of what was good or what was positive, or not even on the aspect of positive, but you're stuck in that level of that mindset, and it's based off of these are the things about this that make me feel good. These are the things that make me feel bad about this. You have all the answers in front of you. Love and compatibility are two different things. Love and compatibility are two different things. You feel me? I love my mother unconditionally. I have compassion for my mother unconditionally. I have compassion for my sisters. I have compassion for my brothers. I have compassion for people of my past. I have compassion for all of that. But the compatibility on the level that I'm on, will not allow me to fester in that space. I can't create anything out of that space outside of the parameters of what it used to create that space. That's that. Realizing that accountability to yourself, that's taking you into that state of that solstice before you rise into your rebirth, your resurrection, your higher self. And the more esoteric understanding standpoint of that, that's you rising out. That's that rock being moved. When they use that, the rock being moved coming out of that cave or the vesicle, coming out of that portal, coming out of that, you're coming out of this spiritual awakening, or you're coming into and coming, because there's a constant going in and going out, 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 going in, going out. Remember, sacred energy exchange, sex on a higher level. You're going in and you're going out. You're going to be constantly going through these different waves. Things will change. Talking about the D wave, the limitless possibilities and the probabilities and the universes and the parallels that you're going to be on. This is all based upon your mindset of where you're at now. Because there's things that I can think about that happened to me in my teens when I was like 12 and 11 years old, that I have an entirely different understanding based on what I see now. So I can remember the moments of, I can remember the moment of when my cousin passed. I was 13, he was 14, about to be 15, a week before his birthday. Stuff like that I can remember now. I remember the scene or the environment that I was in. I remember the scene. I remember the environment that I was in when I was in that space. And certain things start standing out more. Like there was a halo. Someone did a graffiti art of a halo tag on the wall. I'm just noticing the synchronicities of everything. It was 11:11 p.m. on the clock. As I was looking around, as I jumped over and looked at the Apollo, it said it was streaming 11:11 across the thing. As you start going deeper into yourself, that's why this shadow work is so important to yourself. Things are going to start speaking to you. But if you're looking at them based on the level of where you're at, you're not going to get the full encompass. You're not going to get the full encompassing of that energy. You're not going to get the full encompass of that message because you're thinking about it as your lower self. Coming into this new year, new me shit, everything that you once thought about, you're going to question. Everything that you once accepted, you're going to question. There's going to be places that you can't go because reality is going to set in for you. There's going to be places that you're not going to be able to go to, or you're not going to be able to go back to based on things that you set tone in your reality of your world. No matter what happens, you got to let it go. You got to let it ride out. You have to let this shit happen. You got to let the shit fall into place. A lot of times we get stuck on the very, well, if I don't do this and then this happens, then I don't have nothing to do with it. But as long as I hold on to this thought right here, hold on to this idea right here, if I hold on to this, then the change that comes, I don't have to embrace myself for it. Love of self versus the compatibility. The love of yourself is going to change the compatibility with others. The love of yourself, the rise of yourself, that ascension in yourself, that awakening of yourself is going to change your compatibility with everything. What I've come to notice in a lot of these groups, a lot of the groups on Facebook, a lot of the groups that I do a lot of my, I go through and grab bits and pieces of knowledge, and I go read and I see whatever syncs up. What I'm noticing is it's a repeat of the same. You got to a phase where you got comfortable and you don't want anything to change outside of that. You got into this space where you're comfortable and you complacent, and now you want to change something within that space. Not going to happen. You got to evolve past that space. That moment you feel unrest in that space, that's when it's time for you to leave from that space. You can't keep yourself in that small. You can't keep yourself in that small ass little fucking shirt, that small ass jacket, just because it's fly. You got that fly Gucci jacket in your closet. You ain't been able to wear that shit in fucking months. Man, I wish I could get back down to this size. That size is over and done with. Even if you go back to that size, by the moment you get back to that size, so many other things are gonna open up that you're not even gonna look at that the same anymore. That's evolution. We're getting stuck on the thought process of, yo, so when I get up there, man, I don't know how many rappers I've seen. I don't know how many people I've seen that are rappers or rap, do music or whatever. That you do you. But you need to aspire to something more, because you're falling in line for something from the feed upon. You already seen what they do, how they weaponized music. You've already seen that. So why would you inherently be a part of that, knowing what they do with it? Man, we need an economic infrastructure for our community. Why would you want to be a part of that, knowing what it causes? That's similar to like if I saw a bass head and was like, yo, he's on Clown fucking 9. That don't mean I want to go smoke crack. That's for them, not for you. We got to stop getting this aspect. We getting this aspect that is back and forth with our knowledge. We getting this aspect that is back and forth with our knowledge. And it's like, yo, I want to do this, or I'm going to do this. Or I'm going to argue this point, and this point. I'm going to argue this point, and this point. I'm going to argue, I'm going to debate. This is how I'm going to get my name out there. If that's how you want to get your name out there, then go ahead. I'm going to go over some ego traps. But I made you got to go through it. The only way that you're going to free yourself from any of this shit, free yourself from the ego traps that you get trapped in and you keep getting siphoned upon, you got to go through the shit. The shit you got to go through is within you. The reason that shit can still hit you, still resonate with you, some motherfucker getting on talking about his point of view, talking about, there was a dude that I saw the other day, he put up a post talking about If you don't have curves, if you don't have hips, if you don't have this, don't call yourself a woman. You're just a female that can produce children. From his point of view, he spoke upon that. That was on him. I could have easily went in and defended my queens and defended my goddesses, but to look at what he wrote and observe what he wrote, then go look at his page and go look at his page and go study, look at his body of work, look at his catalog, look at his book of life. It would do me no good to even voice anything towards him, because all it would do is get me caught in the ego trap of my queens and goddesses saying that's what a guy's supposed to do. That's what a guy's supposed to be. That's what a guy's supposed to be. And then I would have had to go in there and said, nah, I'm just saying this. Is this honest truth. That's my truth speaking for my level. You can't get stuck in these ego traps, because these ego traps are what getting you stuck here. That back and forth, it ain't doing you no good. That vision, that knowing, that gaining that knowledge and that wisdom, it doesn't need a back and forth. The reason that you're getting stuck in the back and forth is because this realm is based on this realm is based on that back and forth, that adversaries. They created a devil aspect. They created a God, Jesus aspect. They created heaven. They gave you hell. Exoteric standpoints. You don't do this many types of deeds up here, you go into heaven. You go into hell. If you do this, this, and this, and you stand still, you don't have sex, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't question things, you just sit there deaf, dumb, and blind, you're going to be going to heaven. But if you give into your sins or your senses, you're going to live in hell. You're going to hell. When in reality, if you give into your senses, or your sins or your lack of knowledge, and you give into it into a way to please your lower half or please your ego, you're going to steady be in hell. That's that mental mindset of hell, because you're not getting what you want. That also goes when you start studying, looking at all the zodiacs. Each zodiac has its pros, has its negative, and its positive on that same pole. For me, my cardinal sign is Aquarius. So I'm very rebellious, very intuitive. I'm very intelligent. I'm a humanitarian. Types of things like that. Hey, I'm an Aquarius. I enjoy mental stimulation and long walks on the beach. And healthy separation. I enjoy going against the grain. I enjoy healthy detachment. Types of things like that to yourself. But thinking with ego, I have you only thinking, if I was thinking in ego, I would only think about the traits of an Aquarius. And then I would find the dislikes in all the other signs, not knowing the only reason that I dislike the other signs is because each one of those are an aspect of myself that I've not explored. Getting what you want and getting what you can are two different things. Getting what you want requires a higher level of discipline than doing what you can. Doing what you want requires a lot more discipline than doing what you can. Doing what I want requires a lot more discipline, because I have to set myself, take accountability into myself. I have to take accountability for my own actions. I got to take accountability for everything that I say, Everything that I do, I must have confidence in every consequence that I set by my causes and effects. This shit ain't for the weak. So when you think about one aspect of why you think motherfuckers won't, like, no matter how much you argue with church-going folk, good old Christians, good old Muslims, good old whatever the heck, whatever denomination they decided, they don't want to take the full responsibility. It becomes almost an ego-driven psychopath when you say something that's against their belief, because without their belief, they don't have anything. They believe mentally that they don't have anything. They believe they have no power. They believe they have no strength of themselves. But when we step into the first round, we understand that this level is ruled by adulter broth. This level has archons or entities that feed off of that energy, that feed off of ego. When you look at this realm, you notice everything in this fucking realm is based off of fucking ego. I made a video the other day and I was talking about everything that I have, like all of my spiritual pieces that I invoke my energy into, because I have the understanding of them. I know how to invoke my energy into the inanimate objects, into these objects, because they move for me. They work for me. I understand the level of my energy. And I was sitting there, I had a thought process, I had a thought in my head. I was like, yo, I got this stone right here for $5. The enclosure that it's in is $5. My green stone right here is $5. So that's $10. This one right here cost me, my chakra bracelet with the stones on it, with the little symbol, cost me like $20. This one cost me about $15. This one cost me about $15. This piece right here, this is a newer piece. This is a newer piece that I actually was given by one of the little old white ladies up at the West College. Said, I was just told to give that to you. After I did some research on it, I'll go into that a little later. But every piece on me, I got about $50 on me right now, excluding the rings and the gold. 2 different prices. But these is about $50. I put my pieces on, I never feel more powerful. That's the same thing in the aspect of that exoteric or that outside thought process of yourself. With or without these pieces, I'm still me. I still have that power. My power is still tapped into. I'm still invoking that energy. I'm still invoking my energy, regardless of my pieces. I can do it with or without the pieces because I understand my power. Now, when I look at my pieces, they're more like markers, similar to remember, signs, trauma, repetition, and signs. So every time someone sees me and I have a conversation, I have a regular conversation, or I'm building they're coming into their consciousness, their awakeness into that level, and they want to learn some on meditation, doing some shadow work, doing certain rituals. And they see the pieces to me. These pieces are, since they're invoked with my energy and my power, when they see me wearing my pieces, this is what they equate in their memory of me to them. They're going to look more towards things like this as symbols of how they're going to move, or the signs of where they need to move closer to. You see how that makes sense? As opposed to the same thing whenever you saw back in the day, back in like the 2000s when music videos was popping, you had BET, you had MTV, TRL, and all these other states. You had music, 106 in Park, Rap City, Video Link, all them other shits. All these videos were playing. Every time you saw the cross, you saw iced out crucifix. You saw Diddy with an iced out crucifix. You saw all of these rappers with iced out crucifixes or whatever, Jesus pieces. Subliminally in your mind, you said subliminally in your mind, subconsciously in your mind, because you were indoctrinated upon. In your mind, you were set to like, as long as they got the peace on, they're still good. They're getting their stuff because they rocking with God. And then they took it to the next level, and then you had that wave. Everybody talking about Illuminati. That wave has died down a lot since when it first came out. I remember when I first saw one of my homegirl. This is way back, college days. Her name was Lisa. And I remember she was like, I know you into Jay-Z and whatever. Did you ever see the Jay-Z, the Deception? That had a whole, I think it's still up. You type in Jay-Z, The Deception, and it has like an entire breakdown of his videos and talking about he was satanic and into the occult. So you're like, wait, the occult. And that was like, for a lot of us, that was the first time we heard of the word the occult. Every time you heard of the word the occult or cult or any of these words that were dark, you always saw it in a movie. You always saw white people going crazy. You also saw white people being possessed and they're going crazy because they can like trying to get rid of the host, it was about to kill the host and all this shit. The whole thought process about that is because that energy is not meant for them. If you take that thought process into your mind, that means the shit isn't meant for them. The level that we're at, this shit isn't meant for them. You being awakened, you being chosen to be awakened, you made the choice already before to come to this level. You're now, instead of listening to the voice from behind, instead of listening to the voice from within, you are becoming the voice that's within. I remember when I was going through my thing talking about, I had my conversation with God. I have my conversation with God. I have my conversation with, who does God sound like when you talk to him? Who did the devil sound like? I remember the devil to me always sounded like he had like, the devil to me sounded like the fucking Joker. The devil to me sounded like the little clown off Spawn. You created based on the information that you were indoctrinated, that information that you were given at a point in time, you created your own version of the devil, and you created your own version of God. And every time you did right, you would give thanks to the God you created. And every time you did something wrong, you'd be like, devil, stay off of me. But the entire time, autonomously, your hands was doing all the dirt. Your hands was doing all the good shit. Your hands was doing it. Nobody's hands told you to do anything. You listen to the whisper. You listen to that voice inside of your head to tell you to do what you did. After a point in time, you were like, yo, that voice keep telling me to do this shit over and over again. What if I stop listening to the voice? Now let's go deeper into the psychological thinking. The psychological, in order to understand life, you must understand death. In order to understand life, you must understand death. So in order to understand yourself, you must understand the dead that you came from. All that shit you left on the cutting room floor, that's the shit you're going to need to explore because the answers are right there. I had an entire thought process when I thought about, I remember the last conversation I had with my moms and pops when I was at their house. When I went to their house to do some yard work or some shit. I want to do some yard work because my mom's called me. She was like, she country, so she's like, your daddy wants you to come by and cut down some limbs in the backyard. I was like, all right, cool. Every time I already knew that every time I go over to my parents' house and my pop say you want to do some yard work, move some limbs, I knew we were about to cut up some whole fucking trees. And since I'm me, of course, I'm gonna go over there and cut some fucking trees, some limbs. I remember the last conversation I had with them in their kitchen. I was like, and this is how I knew my throat chakra was in alignment. This is how you know you start getting to the moments of alignment. When you're able to speak in that space that you were hindered in, that's how you create that door and create that new portal for you to step out of. That's how you know when it's time for you to step out. I sat there in the kitchen with a glass of coconut water, because at this point in time I was drinking a lot of coconut water because I was decalcifying myself. I said, regardless of the belief system, I know that what I learned, whether I was a part of that belief system or not, the same way that my father, my pops, was super Catholic, Jesus, the resurrection, all of that shit, the same energy and that same power and that same faith he put in his belief, I knew that at that moment in time, I chose that part of my path because I put that same amount of energy into my knowing and my into my rise, into my birth, into my rebirth. The same compassion, the same caring, and the same love my mother has for all of my brothers and sisters and family in that aspect is the same compassion that I have in breaking myself away and doing the things that I need to do and having the strength that I need to have to take myself to the next level at all costs. My mother loved us at all fucking costs. But at a point in time, I knew I had to make that step away. There's going to be shit that happens. There's shit that's happening right now in your fucking life. We can go outside and we're gonna come closer in. You're looking at Trump just got impeached, and Trump just got impeached, and Bill Cosby's in jail, and niggas have blonde and all this shit. That ain't got nothing to do with you, because that can't make you any money. The only way you're gonna make money off of any of these things if you join into the business. You're getting to a point where you have to realize, you're getting to a point where you're going to have to fucking realize that the shit that's stopping you is the shit that you're not willing to do. They're following your lead anyway. You're so far ahead that you're so far ahead that you're behind them. That's how they became your reflection. And now that you went so far ahead, it's written in all the fucking text, and motherfuckers still ain't catching that shit. We're so far fucking advanced. We did so much shit. We did this, and we built the pyramids, and we discovered time travel, and we did this shit with health, and we did this over here, and we did this. Who gives a fuck? We did it. Okay, cool. Pat yourself on the back. What are you doing now? You did all that. Now you've been degenerate. Now you've been put into a degenerative sense of loving hip hop New York. You've come so far now you're stuck on a Megan Thee Stallion and a Cardi B and an Eminem and a fucking Nick Cannon beef. You advanced so fucking far. Now you behind this curve talking about those motherfucking millionaire entertainers need to come off some of that bread and help us get somewhere. Why are you waiting on somebody else to do some shit for you? Because you basing yourself on an image of something that you don't know anything. You don't know any better. You don't know no better. That's our child. We're in that childlike mindset, but we're not learning in our child. We're not absorbing anything from our childlike mindset. We're getting stuck. We're so far ahead that we're now behind the curve. In your psyche, your subconscious, it goes your ego, then your psyche, then your subconscious. Your subconscious has this nice little thin layer called your psyche around it. And back here is the nexus point. This is how you tap into the mother chakras. This is why every time you see I'm trying to think of a couple movies. When you saw in the Matrix when they had that shit plugged into the back of their neck, or you always see a barcode on the back of the neck, or you always see in movies like, I think it was like Torrico or Repo Man or whatever. Repo Man is also a good movie. We're gonna get into some shit like with that. You see that little barcode on the back of their neck, that's their point of entry into your neck. That's why you ever saw the vampires, they always had to bite you on your fucking neck. You had to get bit on the fucking neck. That's the entry point back here. This is the land of milk and honey right here. The land of milk and honey. All right here. This is where that colostrum energy runs down, ignites into that Kundalini energy and rises back up. You're still stuck on the Kundalini part. You ain't even understanding that in front of you, the computers and all the internet, all that's representation and reflection of you. Once you understand the spell, you're able to manipulate it for your own game. We're doing some shit. We check. That's why you being on this wavelength. That's why you being in this level, being able to attain this type of information, understand this light. You're already shifting the things around you. The only thing they can do is distract and maintain. The only thing your reflection can do is distract and maintain. Let me show you how your reflection distracts and maintains. Wake up in the morning and this eye swole up and is red. You're going to be looking in the mirror for the first 5 minutes of your fucking day like, what the fuck is wrong with my eye? Your phone will go off. Your phone going to go off like, what the fuck wrong with my fucking eye? Your phone going to go off. You're going to get emails. You're going to be late for work because you were distracted. Now you pick up your phone. Damn, I got to figure out how, let me go on the internet real quick, pull up this information, how to make this shit go down, get this swelling down on my eye so I got enough time to go to work. All right, cool. Now you maintaining the distraction. All right, cool. I found it. Now you run back to the mirror. Now you did the method. Now your eye starts swelling, go down. Now you back in the mirror. Now you see if it's maintaining if it's maintaining from the distraction. So it maintained the distraction. The only thing that they can do at this level is maintain the distraction of what's going on in your life right now. That's all they fucking can do. There's nothing behind you. There's literally nothing behind you. Everything that's behind you is in front of you. That's the reflection. The only way it shows up behind you is as a reflection. So guess what? You can see it. That's that you want to be on this, you in this 3D thought process trying to think about 5D shit. That's the same thing talking about you want to be a god, you want to claim that you're a god, but you still thinking about human shit. How you going to embrace your power if you still thinking at the level that cannot be a conduit for that power, your source of power? Everything trickles down. I said that last week. everything trickles down. So when you're working on the shit up here, everything's gonna fall into place everywhere else. But you worried about this shit down here trying to get up there. You worried about a problem trying to push a problem uphill where you can just drop that shit where it stands and it'll help you rise up. All you gotta do is understand it. You want, if this lighter didn't work, and I was sitting here like, damn, my lighter don't work. I can't light this magic herb. And this lighter don't fucking work. I'm gonna carry the lighter with me like, fuck, this lighter don't fucking work. Yeah, I make sure it works. Now I'm distracted on that issue until this shit fucking work. You want something to work for you. One thing that always gets to me when I can't understand it for the life of me, it's one of those big ass ego traps that we seem to get stuck in, is you base your shit off other people doing shit. So if they're not doing it the way you're doing it, then you'll judge them. You sound just like those dead motherfuckers that are going to go Sunday through Thursday into that church, Sunday through Thursday, for 60 some odd revivals and communion, first communion, second, all that other shit, over and over and over again. And then they all gonna huddle up after church and go to Golden Corral or fucking Shoney's or fucking some buffet, some Chinese, some buffet somewhere and eat, or fish fry and shit, and talk about Alan Mae's daughter don't like coming to church no more. That's Sister Mary's son. And all they're gonna do is talk about the same shit that kept them locked into that space. And you do the same thing when you in your space, talking about all them niggas don't know nothing about fucking chakras. Them motherfuckers don't know anything about rape, man. You gotta understand, man, I walk because this is what it does. If you're not doing it from a standpoint in order to teach somebody, all you're doing is getting yourself caught in the ego trap. You're a God, you know this. And caring about what other people do with their lives, that makes you a human. That keeps you in that human space. You focusing on another motherfucker's pockets, and then you mad your pockets ain't getting food. You mad at how another motherfucker eats, and that shit don't benefit. You mad at how somebody else is eating because you're not getting any food. You ain't putting in the work on your side. They putting in the work on their side based on the level where they're at. That's like if this is how behind the curve we are when it comes to certain aspects. One big curse, and I broke this in generational curses, the first lecture I did that, and I did it in generational lust. One of the biggest things that's going to happen is they don't understand anything outside of the paradigm that they're in because they haven't been shown anything outside that paradigm. They're complacent in that safe space. That's a safe space. It's a safe space for them. Safe haven. I've literally heard conversations where the generation before that, welfare generation, that WIC generation, that generation that was food stamps and welfare, will look at another person in that ass. Will look at another person like, why would they give up a 3-bedroom house for $8 a month, $38 a month, and they don't have to pay any bills to go work a job where now they got to pay full out for the house. They got to pay full. They got to pay for their bills. They got to pay for all their shit. It's a sense of accountability. At a point in time when you're coming into your rebirth, there's a sense of accountability that no one else is going to be able to. There's no one else going to be able to do what you're doing. At the end of the day, after you do all of your shit, you put in your work, you put in your shadow work for yourself, you worked on yourself, you listen to your subconscious, you reprogram your subconscious, you did your dreams, you're doing your mantras, you're saying your I'm a God mantra, you're saying that I'm a goddess mantra, you're saying that you're whatever energy you're trying to invoke into yourself next for your next level of work that you're trying to do. That benefit is simply for you. That benefit simply for you. That energy simply for you. That avenue is for you. So it shouldn't matter if you decide to work. If I decide to walk to work every single day from my house, and I see people drive by, and I see people drive by, and then I get to my job, and then someone sits there and tells me, "Dang, I saw you walking." They'll give me everything outside of that, man. Why didn't you just take a lift? Why didn't you take the bus? Or why didn't you hit me up for a ride? And they'll give you all these excuses, and I can answer them straight down the line. I was like, I ain't feel like waiting that long for the bus. I ain't feel like waiting for the lift. I don't have your number. Why didn't you stop? Man, I was in a rush to get to work. I was late already. So why are you worried about what I'm doing and how I'm moving? At a point in time, you're going to have to start realizing that worrying about other motherfuckers' moves is not going to benefit you in any shape or form. Worrying about what another motherfucker eats is not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. They call your shit devil shit? All right, bet. Cool. All right, cool. It's the devil shit. More for me. You're at a plate. You're at a table set up for you. That, what's called it? You really get on your nerves when you start quoting their Bible scriptures back at them. Like, according to the Bible, it said that a table will be set in front of me, in front of my enemies. You the guy setting the table in front of your enemies. Everything that no longer benefits you is your enemy. Anything keeping you in this 3D level, which is actually, you're in a 3D level, but the ones that are dead, we're all in this 3D level. The ones that are dead, they're thinking on the 2D level. The 2D level, that 1D, 2D level, that's a book. So everything they do is based on a book. That they're on a 2D level. So you can't even explain the shit that's happening in this 3D realm since we're at the higher realm, we're in that 4D, 5D level, or whatever levels high, the level of hierarchy where we're at. You can't explain about what's happening on the 3D level when they still in a book. Let the dead lay with the dead on that shit. At first, when I was coming into my consciousness, every time I heard some shit, I read some shit, I read a file, I opened up a Google search, I looked up some shit on whatever, found a book, had a motherfucking spiritual moment, like, oh shit, I had a breakthrough. In the beginning, I couldn't wait to run to one of my friends, my moms, and my family members and be like, hey, yo, can't wait to the next family function. Sounding like old dude that played the ladies, man. The reason that the white man loved to play golf is because he's putting his white ball into the hole, which is Mother Earth, so he's raping our women. They already showed you at this level what you were going to sound like to your people. And they put it in comedy. So you looked at don't be a menace to drinking, don't be a menace while drinking juice in the hood. My milk and magnesia, da. They already put out what you're going to look like and what to look for as markers of what you're supposed to look like. So the same thought process of what's a real nigga and what's a bad bitch, how real, how authentic of a nigga, real nigga are you? How authentic of a bad bitch are you? If, guess what? They got your ass on fucking VH1, Oxygen, Fox every fucking time, showing what they show. This is the archetype of a real nigga. This is the archetype of a bad bitch. You wanted to be a real nigga, they gave you The Wire. They gave you Oz. You wanted to be a bad bitch, they gave you Bad Girls Club. They gave you Basketball Wives. They gave you what they will accept from you. This is how we see you. That's the same thing when they came out with The Craft and all the occult classic movies talking about witches and shit. I haven't seen an ugly witch yet. And I got over 600 friends on my Facebook page. And all of the goddesses and goddesses on my fucking page, those are some of the most beautiful witches that I've ever seen in my fucking life. On my Instagram, in the integration of that. Them are some of the baddest witches that I've ever seen in my life. So this stigma about witches got to look like this, that's their vision of something that they're saying that they can't get to, because that's what they'll say. What they're showing on the intellectual level, remember their intellectual level is your floor and it's their ceiling. That's how high as they can go. They feel like, just like when I tell you that spirituality, when you come into spirituality, this process is not about in peace and looking all good and essential oils and shit. This shit gets fucking ugly. The ugliest thing that's gonna happen is death or something. You gotta get through, you gotta walk through that door of fucking death before you go any fucking further. You gotta walk through the door of death. You gotta die first. The whole fucking point is to die before you die. You already know that energy doesn't fucking die. Energy cannot be destroyed. You already know that you are light trapped inside of a body. So you're looking at all these things. We get stuck on the mundane byproducts of what we're able to do, not really tapping into what we really can do. Levels to it. When you first find out your psychic abilities, like when I first found out about my clairvoyance, my clairaudience, my ability to hear certain shit, hear people, take in downloads on my information. I'm now, since I'm studied those parts of myself, and I'm becoming more and more well versed in that knowledge because it's infinite. You keep learning more and more shit. You keep downloading more and more shit. I use it at its most maximum ability. So now that I know I can go to the maximum ability, let me study some of these byproducts so I can understand them more. Let me study the tarot. Let me study some voodoo. Let me study the voodoo and all these. Let me study these other shits that are underneath the level that I went to. Let me understand the building blocks under me. I'm ahead in my advancement in my spiritual mental capacity. So now I can look back at the shit I need to look back at. See how that rhythm comes in? Because you're going forward. You're so far behind that you're ahead. You're so far ahead that you're behind. But now you're behind something. You think something's oppressing you. There's nothing fucking oppressing you. There's nothing fucking stopping you. There's nothing oppressing you. But the white man does this and the white... Who gives a fuck? It takes an immense amount of fear to be maintained. It takes an immense amount of fear to be maintained. To not look at something and be like, there has to be something more to it. There is an immense amount of fear, that vibration, because fear moves fast. Fear moves fast. Fear moves fast. It moves fast because it's stuck on this comfort. Love moves at a slower vibration. When something's moving slower, like if water, you look at a riverbank and the waves hit the riverbank, or we'll use the beach as a better analogy. And you see the water hit the beach and the tide comes in, and then more and more sand gets pulled away. It erodes. And since it's moving at such that fast pace, when that tide comes in at the same time, when it goes back and resettles, everything that it left in its wake is going to come back up. But see, when that love vibration wavelength hits, it can linger because it's going down, up, digging out, digging those grooves. Just digging those grooves. Digging those grooves. So it's instilling itself everywhere it goes. It's instilling itself everywhere it goes. See that fear? It come through. Hurricane, tornado, come through, destroy a bunch of shit, and you got to rebuild everything. You stuck on the memory like, damn, I remember my house looked like this. I remember when this looked like this. Natural disaster is supposed to happen. A natural disaster only can destroy something that's unnatural to that space. Because if there's nothing on the front of a beach and then the tide comes in, all it can remove is a little bit of sand. It might leave some shells up there. You might see a horseshoe crab left on the fucking beach. You might see some shells and some pretty shit got unearthed. But it was natural to the environment. Nobody says anything. But if the tide or tsunami came in and it knocked off a whole fucking beachfront properties, everybody's going to lose their fucking mind. They're not losing their mind based on the natural happening. It's disturbing their unnatural presence. It's destroying their simulation. It's destroying their peace. Remember I said their peace is your harm. Their peace is your havoc. The longer you're in havoc, the more they can be at peace because they know exactly what you are. They know that you're going to be, as long as you can sit there and talking about you, as long as you sitting there talking about you a real fucking nigga, they know exactly where to come get you from. They know you're going to be at that same club, same strip book club, that same liquor store, that same corner, that same space, because they've given you that realm. They're giving you that space to play in. So I ask you again, your mindset, I'm not saying that it should not be there, but that should be everything outside of you advancing yourself spiritually should be primary. Everything else should be secondary and further down the line. Because if you're not getting yourself in alignment with your power, when that shit start lighting up and that alignment, it comes time for that shit to start trickling down, what is it going to hit on? What is it going to connect to? How is it going to benefit anything? If your mind, okay, I'm break it like this. If you're stuck in your ego and you get an opportunity to create something, the first thing you're going to think about is how much money is it in for me? How much money am I going to get from this? That's a human. That's that humanity. How can I help my people with this? You're still thinking humanity. What you should be thinking is, how is this going to advance me and feed my soul more fuel to the fire for me to create more? 3 years ago, and we're gonna get some deeper shit. 3 years ago, I had the mindset in my head. I was sitting there thinking all this information that I was coming into, all the knowledge, all my studies, all my shadow work, I needed an outlet. But I was like, at first, 3 years ago, I was thinking like, who the fuck gonna listen to me on this shit? Because I was looking at the environment and the climate, and I was looking at what was working. I was looking at what was getting all these mad fucking views, and motherfuckers getting 28 fucking 100 views in the first hour talking about battling against a Hebrew Israelite or a Power Ranger or somebody, a Moor and a Kemite battling each other. And it removed me. I was like, nah, because I'm not about that. So I'm not going to come. I can't come into that environment because I'm not about that. And then that's when I was like, I need to see. I want to know more depth. I want to see something more in depth. And then that's when I got into the Bobby Hemmett lectures, and I got into the C. Freemanel lectures. I got into the Dr. David Blair lectures. And then later on, I got into the Brother Panic lectures. And then I got into these deeper lectures. So as I started looking at Bobby Hemmett lectures and started studying the esoteric sciences, then I could go back and I could sit there and I could listen to a Brother Panic. I can listen to a Brother Pro-Light lecture. There's a lecture that Brother Pro-Light did, and everybody's so stuck on him being a fraud and all these other things that he did. I didn't give a fuck. None of that shit. A lot of this shit my nigga said was valid. But something stood out that made me want to listen, that if she does come out with something, I might give it a peek. In one of his lectures, he was having a conversation. He was explaining about how his consultation process works and everything. And he said, everything that I talk about or I study or I teach on, do consultations on, I'm well versed in. So I have ability to teach it because I've actually applied that knowledge to my own day-to-day, so I know that it works. That's the same thing Panic said. The same thing Panic says. Coming from that place of knowing. And then what stuck out with Pro-Light, what he said, he was like, I really want to talk about death. I really want to start diving into death. And that stuck in my subconscious, listening to what he says. So as I started looking at these things, this is how you start building your vision, building that clairvoyance into your vision of your eyes. When you start seeing shit, you start seeing through, you start being able to read, your occult mind starts working. That's how you start building yourself up on that level. This is how you're able to read through the distractions and see through those points in the matrix. This is how I can listen to some shit Donald Trump says, and I'll be like, oh, yep, he's still doing what he's supposed to do. That's based on that. That's him. That's what he's supposed to do. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I keep moving forward. The ego trap is you looking at the shit that you doing and thinking everybody else supposed to do it. You still stuck in that religious rhetoric. Because a person that comes to the truth of themselves understand there's many paths to this light. Understand there's many paths to this light. The way the knowledge resonates and activates something in me is going to be different than how it activates something in somebody else. I can't tell anybody. I will never sit there and have a conversation and say to somebody, hey, yo, you really should start looking into this more because that's what I'm looking into. And it gave me this, this, and this. My conversations are different. If I meet somebody that's into the Orishas, for example, and that fits them, and that I listen to diagnose. You've been given all these tools in front of you, but you ain't using them. My tools, one tool that I wasn't using, one tool that I got when I was in college, when I graduated, I got my master's in psychology and got my master's in business. My uncle said, oh, so you're basically a certified pimp, technically, because you think about playing mind tricks on hoes, on chicks, and making it a business. You're a certified pimp if you have a psychology major in a business. My uncle said that, and it made me go deeper into my thought process. The main reason I wanted to study psychology is I wanted to understand my own head. So I learned how to diagnose. So you can listen to somebody in your day-to-day based on what they say in an observatory point. The point of a psychiatrist's job is to take everything that's inside of your head and separate it into separate strands. You'll see like a lot of pictures, like you'll see like the psychiatrist looking at somebody, they're jumbled, they're laying on the couch and they're jumbled, and you see them, they got like 3 separate strands in their head, talking about mental, they're talking about the different thought processes in somebody's head, and they're organizing it so they can represent it. That is your divine gift and talent. That's a divine gift and talent for you. You have to get past the emotionalism. We got to stop being so fucking emotional. Every time some shit fucking happens, we get so mad fucking emotional. And I understand there's grievance. I understand there's something happening. But you got to understand that the higher that you're going to go, the issues are going to change. New levels, new devils. It's going to be a different set of Damians or Damians that you're going to have to look into to face in order to go to that next level. You can tell what level, you can tell if you bypass the level if the shit ain't bothering you no more. So for me, something as simple, I've said this before, seeing somebody get killed on fucking TV, it doesn't bother me anymore, mainly because I've done all that retrace work back to all the murders and all the killings that I've seen based on the environment that I came from. I lived in my entire life has been 2 different lives. I've lived 2 different lives the entire time, parallel like this. Now understanding that they were both 2 sides of the same coin. When I was with my mother between birth up to about 12, 13, I was around my mother. When I finally met my pops came back to the picture. He talked to my aunt and he opened up that door right there and we started talking. I was introduced to the other side of the world. I was introduced to the underworld in that aspect. I was introduced to the underworld. The underworld is more organized than this world out here. Organized crime in that aspect is more advanced than this world right here. And then when you look at a movie like Transformers, you always like the Decepticons always got the better weapons. They always got like the better weapons, and they always got some shit that's going through fucking floors and shit. And the Autobots always got the same basic shit, and they got some basic shit. The difference between the Autobots and the Decepticons is that the Autobots had heart. They were still attached to humanity. So the villain, once you start going on this level to yourself, the villain makes more sense than the good guy. Because the good guys are always trying to sustain peace and sustain the morality of that space. But then they're doing the same thing that if you ever look at it, like Superman to destroy a whole fucking city. Superman to destroy a whole fucking city. Fighting, or Goku, or look at all the superheroes. They destroy a bunch of fucking shit in the fucking city. Avengers, they destroyed half of fucking New York City to fight the bad guys. But they were cheered for it. They were cheered for, yay! Have the fucking city destroyed. Niggas ain't going to work in the morning. Motherfuckers can't go to the Jordan store. They can't go get no shit. But they had to because the evil dissipated. But what if the evil won? What would happen? The point of coming into the dark is to see things for what they really are. You getting stuck on one side or the other is where you lose your power. Because you signing on to like, I'm signing up for this over here, so now I'm going to be stuck on this for the rest of my life, or stuck on this for this phase in time, until I get so upset that I see it's not fucking working, and then something's going to kill me off. Now you became the martyr. I remember I saw something earlier talking about the aspect of you cannot love. No. Matter of fact, let me get into this other aspect before I get into that. Talk about some of these ego traps. I made this post earlier. This is where we're getting stuck at. If you think it is more spiritual to ride a bike to work or use public transportation, but then you find yourself judging somebody who drives a car, you're in an ego trap. If you think it's more spiritual to stop watching television because it rots your brain, but then you find yourself again judging somebody still watching TV, you're in an ego trap. If you think it is more spiritual to avoid reading gossip, tabloids, and magazines, but then find yourself judging those, do the same things, ego trap. If you think it is more spiritual to listen to classical music or soothing sounds, but you find yourself judging others that listen to mainstream pop music, you're in an ego trap. Always be aware of your feelings of superiority. Your self-righteous superiority is your biggest cue that you're in an ego trap. The ego loves to sneak through that back door yourself. It takes an immense amount of humility to yourself to understand that you are not like the others. You're not like others. You already knew that. So to get stuck, your ego will defend, oh yeah, you better than them. I can care less about the crackhead. I can care less about the motherfucker working at McDonald's that can't put pickles on a burger. I can care less about the shorty at the strip club that no one tips. I can care less about these things. I can care less about anything that's not benefiting me and feeding my soul. Because I'm not doing it for others. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it to raise myself. As I rise into these new levels, I know that I'm going to come around others on that same vibration as me, on that same level as me. As I rise, I know that eventually there's going to be people at that level right there that are not ready to leave that level. And then I'm ascending to the next level. So I can't worry about those people. That's that humanity aspect. You got to be a unified front. At each level, the collective consciousness is that unity. Just everybody being on that conscious wavelength changes this shit around. As you moving into your higher self, you have to understand that you changing shit around you. You're not sitting on it. You're not sitting in a space to stay there at that level. I'm not sitting at the space of sitting here saying like, yo, I'm a fucking God. I'm a fucking God. Eventually, I'm gonna get tired of being a fucking God, just like I got tired of being a fucking human. Because there has to be something more. Because I got to this space thinking there was something more and knowing that there's something more. So guess what? Knowledge is infinite. So there has to be something more. What are you willing to do to get to that space? What are you willing to do to get in that rebirth, that resurrection at that level? That's based upon you, nobody else. Nobody else can tell you that it's wrong for you to do this or wrong for you to say that or wrong for this, that. No one else can tell you about you other than you. No one else knows how powerful you are other than you. There's a book by Jordan Strafford, Living Gnosticism, An Ancient Way of Knowing. You can get this on Scribd. Once again, Scribd is that monthly subscription. I think it's like $7.90. It's $8 basically. It's similar to like this other thing called Mintbox. And basically break down the description of the book is in the 22nd century, in 22 centuries ago in Alexandria, a sect of philosophers, poets fashioned a myth in the strands of which weave through Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Greek philosophy, and inspired the legends of the Holy Grail. There's also another book that goes deeper into the understanding of the Holy Grail called the Serpent's Grail. But yeah, long banished to the realm of notorious hearsay, the myths of the Gnostics root in the. I hate when I do that. Root in the fertile imagination of the 19th century's artistic movements and esoteric circles, bearing fruit in the daily spiritual practice of those today. In 1945, a library of Gnostic writing surfaced from the Egyptian desert, allowing the movement, after 1,500 years of propaganda and slander, to speak its own voice. Rich imagery, nostalgic tone, Gnosticism quietly restores the wisdom to her places as the goddess in the Western religion, reveres Eve as the first saint, and acknowledges Mary Magdalene as the foremost of the apostles. Fighting them at their own war with their own books, with their own texts, with their own weapons is not going to get you anywhere. Fighting at their level, fighting the enemy with their own shit when they have the surplus ain't going to get you anywhere. Period. If I walk into your house, in the dark, and I got a knife and I got night vision goggles and I'm in there about to do some real devastating shit. Looking past emotion You have the upper hand. Fear is a very powerful tool. I don't know your house. You know every hiding spot in your house. You know everything inside of your house better than me. The only way that I can come into your house and have an upper hand is if I've been to your house before. If I've studied the layout, if I've studied the blueprints of your house. So there's shit that you can do in your house that I can't do. The aspect of this level, this realm, they are guests in your house. They are guests, strangers in your own land. They are guests in your house. They are guests in your show. You've written them into your script. You fell asleep. Now you're waking up. Now that you're waking up, similar to like you wake up, someone wakes you up a little too early, and you like sitting there like, what the fuck you wake me up so early for? That's what you're going through. It's like a very long timeline of you being woken up and now you're angry. That's that analogy I use to explain consciousness or the different levels of your awakening. So you're going to go through that phase of being upset, mad at everything, pro-black, yeah, black power. Our ancestors did this and we did all these great things. All they're going to do is beat you over the head with the shit that they used to create with it. Man, our ancestors created the first schools and the first hospitals. What do they do right now? They force you to pay for something. They force you to pay for something that you created. The higher the price, the more discouraged you become. That's the same thing that you're doing to yourself right now as you're coming into your rebirth. The highest price that you're going to have to pay in this case is your death. Before you step to January 1st, your mindset has to be different. Because remember, there's no such thing as time. So you can start this at any period of time. You could have started this at any period of time. But you had to absorb a certain amount of fucking information to take yourself to the next level of confidence. What we get stuck on is the complacency. I can guarantee you next year on the same plane, same shit's gonna happen just like last year. I was in the car with my Lyft driver today, and I usually get like the same Lyft driver every Thursday for some strange reason. Synchronicity. And he's always looking at, he said something, he was like, it's sad that I gotta go back 4 years to find something, a decent presidency. I've learned to laugh and say certain things to be like, all right, cool, yeah. To make me think that I'm listening to them, but I'm not really listening to them, I'm diagnosing them. It's gonna take a lot more diagnosing at this new level. I was sitting there, he was talking about, yeah, we're not gonna find somebody else that did something good like that, because he found the good in the space about the Obama years that they won't talk about on TV. And you always hear that a lot of times. They never tell you about this on television, and they never show you this. It's similar to like when they showed Jay and Kanye fucking. That felt good. When they showed Jay and Kanye at Diddy's 50th birthday party, and they showed the first picture that surfaced was Diddy was standing in between in the inside, in the middle, and then they had Kanye sitting on this side with a disgruntled look on his face, and they had Jay on this side with a look of he don't give a fuck on his face. But then they didn't show you the pictures of when they were actually dapping it up and they were actually laughing and having a conversation. That's the same thing that's happening in your life right now. The only difference is what's differentiated between it is you know more. So in you knowing more, you have a different responsibility into what you apply. You either can get stuck in the past or you can get stuck in the future. The only shit that matters is right now. The only space that actually exists in the mental construct of your mind that you need to be focused on is right now. How can I make today the best day? How can I make these moments that I'm in the best moments? What do I learn today? Because when I close my eyes and go into death and go into the dream world, to the real world, and have those conversations on those levels, when I awake back, I'm dying again. So what did I learn in that 24 hours of life, or that 24 hours in the death realm did I learn in this illusion? What did I allow to distract me? What did I allow to hold me back? What did I allow to hinder me? What did I realize that I created? What realization am I creating? Did I do harm or did I create harmony? Did I create another hindrance, something holding me back? Or did I get over another hump? What hearsay did I research? And you look at the poor side. I broke this down in my podcast Tuesday on the God Hour. Am I procrastinating my own rise? Procrastinating your own rise? Are you prolonging your own, what's that word? Rigor mortis. What am I doing at this space and time for myself? It's time for that. It's time to stop. We got to get out of the realm of I had a dream. We got to get out of the realm of, we have to step out of this realm of I had a dream. We got to step out of this realm of white supremacy, the oppressors. They are oppressing us. We need to get weapons, and we have to get out of this mindset, because that mindset is going to hinder you. That's similar to if I sat here every single day and I go to my job and I know whether I work 40 to 50 hours or how many hours I worked at a job, I know exactly how much I'm gonna make if I make the 40 hours, if I make the 50 hours, if I make the 60 hours. I know there's a cap. So in order for me to break away from that cap, I have to get back into my bag of myself about the content and the shit that I'm creating. But I can't think about it as how much money I'm going to make from it. I can't think about the mundane pieces or the mundane parts of what I'm doing. I can't allow my ego to take center stage and say, you ain't gonna make enough money off that. So I trick my ego into submitting to the attributes of the ideal of the space where I'm at to take the information from. Okay, that's all you're doing unconsciously. You're just not doing it right. Your mentality is off. You're never going to get any more than what you're getting at this level, because this level only has a cap, has a ceiling. You're never going to get any more than what you're getting at this level, because it has a ceiling. It has an intellectual ceiling. It has only so much understanding at this level. That's similar to I downloaded the Melanated People app. It's like it's the Facebook for black people. And after I gave it a week. I gave it a chance. I gave it a week. And every single day, I saw the same exact things. I saw the same exact shit every single day. They got Woke Wednesday and Motivational Monday and Testimony Tuesday, and it's a nice layout. It got red, black, and green and some good stuff on there like that. But outside of it, it's like they're talking about the same exact things that I see on Facebook. So it's like, it's a nice idea. But in the reality of it, the reality for yourself, how is this benefiting me? How can I do anything in this space if this space is contained in the aspect of unity? We already did that part. How I look at everything from the esoteric standpoint of like the civil rights movement, and when we had our own, we did this and we flourished and we did all these things. I looked at that from the inner standpoint of, yo, we did all this stuff when we had our own bus lines, we had our own hospitals, our own schools, our own churches, on everything, all black everything. But we integrated for equality. We integrated for equality or a chance to be seen as the same. I don't want to be the same anymore. Think about what you would have to sacrifice to be sponsored. It's something. So it's like you want a sponsorship. The thing about a sponsorship is your sponsors can at any time pull out if they hear something that they don't like. Your sponsors can pull out anytime they hear something they don't like. So why would I want to build an economic structure when the mentalities are still dead? How can I build something? How can I create something on this level when they still stuck in the book? How can I build something on this level when they're still stuck in the game? They're still stuck as players. I'm thinking about being a creator. I'm thinking about being an owner and a creator. The ones that are at that level below me, they're still stuck on, if I make a certain amount of money, I'm going to go buy a Bugatti. My bad. The new thing now is the rate of the Rolls Royce truck. You cannot give the access to this vast, you cannot give the access of the universe to the ones that are still stuck in the city. They're still stuck in the state. They're still stuck in that town. They're still stuck in that old shit. Stepping into this new paradigm, stepping into this new level is going to require severing a lot of ties, burning away a lot of bridges, stepping away from a lot of shit, killing your humanity, in your ego, allowing everything that's in that humanity and ego to be burnt away. Because only then can you look at these things from the higher level to fix it, to do anything about it. Once you understand it, it's now in your hands to be able to manipulate it. It's like similar when you do. It's similar like when I teach when I teach a visualization to someone. And I show them how powerful their mind is. And I'll say, close your eyes. Please don't close your eyes. Close your eyes. And imagine a gold ring around the top of your head. Look up at it. Which way is it spinning? If it's spinning to your left, that means it's physical stuff that you need to charge. If it's spinning to your right, it's spiritual. The spiritual side of yourself you need to charge. Because I'm talking about the two hemispheres. For me to be able to explain it to somebody, I have to understand the hemispheres of the brain. The right is the right is the spiritual side, and the left is the physical, masculine and feminine aspects. So if I say going to the right, which would be your left in this, like if your shit's spinning clockwise, it's going to your right, that means you need a spiritual charge. If it's going to the left, it's a chakra spinning. If it's going to the left, that means you need to have something in your physicals holding you back. Now imagine that same disc coming down to your third eye. Now build a triangle in your head or a circle in your head or put some type of whatever object I tell them to visualize in their mind right here. And then they'll feel that burning sensation of it right there in their head. Maximize the intensity of it. Feel it glowing. Feel it burning hot. Feel it burning. Feel it burning. Feel it burning. And then so on and so on when I'm building that visualization. It's going to take sacrifice. And in this esoteric understanding of sacrifice, human rights makes you property. War is the sacrifice of one's property. Human rights, human inclusion, being included in this humanity aspect, that makes you a conduit or a property of that level. That war, that's the sacrifice. Inside yourself, you're going through those wars inside of yourself every day at that very fucking moment. You're going based on between what you knew and you believe. You're going on what you thought and you believe and what you're assumed to know. That's where that question and everything comes into. So you went from, oh my God, I used to think this was this, this, and this. I'm going to tell you some trippy shit. This is how a matrix, this is how an environment is maintained off of your memories. If tomorrow I go to McDonald's, I'm not going to McDonald's. If I sat here right now and remembered McDonald's as when I was a kid, when I was a young little guy, still not knowing shit, didn't understand the ego or none of that shit. I was a young fucking guy, and I think about McDonald's. 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking about the plays. I'm thinking about Happy Meals. If I go up a little more, I'm thinking about McChickens. I'm thinking about the double quarter pounder with cheese, the McDoubles, or whatever that next level shit is. That memory of me having that McDonald's, if I have an entire group of people around me and I'm talking about McDonald's and we all start reminiscing on McDonald's, we're all going to have that taste for McDonald's. Yo, let's go to McDonald's. We ain't been there in a minute. We're all going to go to McDonald's. That's how that shit's sustained. People are going to die out in your life. That compatibility I was talking about earlier, based on the love of yourself, is going to change that compatibility. When you're going to this new level, you got friends. I had friends that they still like on till this day on Facebook, the ones that still are following me on Facebook. I've had so many people unfollow me, but they're still my friends on Facebook to see what I put. Fucking crazy. Don't really care. They still talk about the same exact things that they talked about 3 or 4 years ago. But what keeps them sustained in my thought is when they post something that I posted 3 or 4 years ago that had a more in-depth spiritual meaning. And then they'll tag me under it. Or be like, yo, you remember da da da? I had a friend the other week. I knew that this has been like, she was my homegirl ever since fucking grade school, and she had to remind me that we met in fucking first, second, third grade. That's how far back we went back. And I remember she was doing the lift, and I took the lift, and I was sitting there. It's like, you can sit in the front seat. You know you don't sit in the back seat. And I'm sitting in the front seat, and we're having a conversation, and the conversation was like reminiscing off of memories. I was like, yeah, that was kind of cool. That was good. That was cool. That was good. I remember that. I remember that day. I remember this day. I remember those things. But the conversation shifted, and you can tell when somebody's trying to shift and they haven't really made it to that point yet, but they're still working at it. Allow them to speak from their level. Allow them to speak for them from their level, to hear, to understand them at their level. We get into this horrid thing and thought process of saying, nah. We immediately will shoot somebody down. When I first went vegan, motherfuckers looked at me like, man, they were looking at food that they brought to work or food that they brought around me. Yo, man, you giving up burgers? I like, well, I already gave up red meat. I was eating turkey burgers. Yo, turkey burgers is kind of good. I was coasting them into my field of thought. I was like, then I thought about all the stuff that was put into the turkey burger. And when I used to go get a pack of turkey, ground turkey, I would still have to season it with different seasonings. Sometimes I throw onions and spinach and other shit into the burger and make my patties. And I was like, yo, eventually I was like, the stuff I'm putting into this turkey is what gives it its flavor. What if I bind those things together and eat that? What if I make that into the burger? It'll save me time and it saves me money. Because I was at a different level. I was thinking at that level. At that level, it made sense for me. So now I'm at a level where I got to that level like, yo, I made, man, veggie burgers. Man, the veggie burgers taste like this, and the veggie burgers taste like that. Man, nah, man, I don't eat that brand. I make my own. You make your own? Yeah, I make my own. I ain't got no time to do all that. I was like, in the same amount of time that it took you It's not about time. It's not about money. It's not about having time. It's not about having money. It's about you having the knowledge, which is the only true abundance and prosperity to do what you need to do at your next level. That's like when someone says they're bored. It is impossible for me to be bored when my mind takes in so many downloads of the day. It's impossible for me to be bored. I just got into watching Gotham, The Witcher, and a couple other shows on Netflix. And I'm sitting here listening to what they're saying. I'm listening to the dialogue of the script. I'm listening to the dialogue, and my mind is constantly linking it to the Gnostic text, the Hermetic text. I can link where they got the information from to create that story. So I hear the story within the story. So I'm looking like, damn, they're literally programming you to think without going any further into something. But since I'm at that level, it's like, yo, when they say something about witches or this right here, this person here, this color, they use a certain color, they use a certain word, they use a certain. Why did they use that? When I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was a little hellion, my mind didn't understand it until I looked at it now. It's like that's why certain things resonated to me at a certain level. When I used to sit there, when I was little, all I ever used to watch was cartoons. I never watched cartoons as a baby. Only watched commercials. Commercial come on, I'm in there, I'm watching the commercial. As soon as the show come back on, I'm running back out the room to go play or go do whatever the hell I was doing. Commercial come on, I'm in there watching the commercial. The only thing I used to watch on TV was Jeopardy, and when I started getting up there, I eventually started watching cartoons to be more normal because I was being told that was normal. Sit down and watch the cartoons. Sit down and watch the cartoons. That was that indoctrination, like taking away from my God sense to you becoming human because you're given a body and becoming human. I'm going to read that Sanskrit text in a little bit. It wasn't until now that I understand that when in a commercial, it's like 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes of information put into this one small space. And they got to put all the information, all the subliminals, everything into this one space to get you hooked. So as I learn things, that's how I've learned the efficiency self. That's how I've learned that God sense of myself of being more efficient in the information that I put out. I have to learn how to put out. I learned how to speak light when I was a baby. I learned how to speak light. I learned how to speak certain things into that existence in that small period of time. I learned how to tell the story within the story. I learned how to be personal without being personal. One big thing, one character trait of an Aquarius, as you get into more studying myself, one character trait of an Aquarius and a lot of air signs, we have the ability to say enough to make someone think they know something in depth without them really knowing nothing at all. Going deeper into myself, now I have the ability when I'm dealing with the humans, when I'm dealing with the mortals in my day-to-day, I can say enough based off diagnosing what they said, based on their ego. I can say enough things to them to make them feel like we're having an interaction. I get what I need out of it. They got their mundane. I got what I needed out of it. I know how to move next time. That's the type of shit that we have to be on. We have to get out of this mind. We got to get out of this mindset of the unity aspect. It's not going to happen anymore. Not at this level, not at this time. We have to have a certain sense of chaos in order to move forward. Because if there's unity, that creates complacency. Unity creates complacency. If I know that's how they have you stuck at this level in this room. If tomorrow they shut the lights off at your house right now, they shut the lights off at your house right now, how many cold showers could you take? If they cut your electricity off right now, how many cold showers could you take? How many YouTube videos? How much battery is in your phone before that shit hits a point where you can't even turn that bitch on? So you looking for somewhere to charge your phone. How much uncooked food do you have in your house that you can eat when it's cold? That's the reality of this level. It's all safe, fine, and dandy because they've given you certain aspects into your life that you can that you survive on in this space. So they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're catering to you at a price. When are you going to cater to yourself at that same price? It's crazy that I look at TV, I'll look at whenever I see like the first African American woman, the African in Nigeria that created a sustainable source that pulls water from the fucking air with no electricity, and they keep showing this picture, and then or they show somebody discovered this or entrepreneur did this or they did this, and then the same time next year, if not sooner, they're found somewhere dead. Keep this. Distraction, 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 distraction. Love and hip hop, distraction. Trump, distraction. We just invented the quantum computer. How did they get the idea for the quantum computer? They show you in plain sight that they've been researching you the entire time. I forgot the dude's name, but basically he'll say follow the nigger. Redneck from, I think, Virginia or somewhere. Robert something. I can't remember that man's name. But his whole premise, follow the niggers. Follow the black people. Because they're where it's at. They're, every time they do something, that's what's next. You got it backwards because it was given to you backwards. It was given to you backwards. It was given to you straightforward, but now you're looking at it backwards. Everything that they do at this level is based off something that you've already done. So advanced that you're behind. They just put in morality and humanity and equality and things that appease your ego to make it like, I can never do that. I can never go. I can never. They'll walk into your house right now and air that bitch out. Mom, dad, sister, brother, girlfriend, babies, everything dead. But you'll go into their neighborhood because they got the good candy in their convenience stores. Because they've showed you that they got the better shit over there. Grass is now always green on the other side. You'll go to their neighborhood and you get shot for a bag of Skittles because you had on a hoodie. And then they'll play that shit out. Oh, we got him. We got this. Let's take that little piece out right here. Take that little aspect of fear out right there. And let's keep replaying that. There's a scene in Gotham. Just getting into it. Love that show. There's a scene in Gotham where they introduce Scarecrow or Jonathan Crane. And he was killing people based on their fears. He needed their fear to get to a 12 on that scale. Because when he killed them, he understood that their body created us, and they've been doing this forever. They showed you that in Monsters, Inc. It got to a certain level for them to extract that fear, that conduit of fear, to extract that fear from that adrenal gland. So they extracted that, and then they pumped it. Then he pumped it into himself because basically he wanted to. His wife was coming down the stairs because the house that he lied to the hospital saying his wife died in a car crash when she actually died in the house, and he wanted to face that fear, so he didn't fear anything. Under that same aspect, you got to look at it this way. That's why they created everything that they create. That's why they've prolonged and maintained the images that you see every day, because that's what they've accepted to keep them safe. It takes an immense amount of fear to sustain this level. It takes an immense amount of fear to stay at this level. It takes an immense amount of fear for me to sit here and say that white people scare me or they're oppressing me, when I can observe every single day in my day-to-day looking at how white people act. Them motherfuckers are scared as hell. I can go to any place right now and my entire mindset changed. Once I started when I accessed that part of myself into that level of my confidence. I can damn near say anything, as vulgar as it may be, say anything I want within the paradigms of me doing what I need to do at that level. Because I've submitted to the attributes of the ideal, and they don't even know what the fuck I am. These same tools and trinkets that they see based on the new age talk. Oh, you do yoga and you do yoga and you do meditation. So you're always talking about you should always be at peace. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always at peace. Yeah, I am. Because I know and understand that I can be in a constant state of chaos. See, I submitted to their attributes of what their ideal think I'm supposed to be. So when I move, they don't know what to expect. Because I'm using them against them. We got to get out of this mindset of we got to fight them with their shit. That's intellectually dumb. I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm not saying don't do what you're doing in the aspects of bettering yourself by all means, but do not get stuck in the ego trap that that's what's going to make you better. I'm not saying as a psychology major not to go to school and grab a psychology degree, because you're going to have access to an entire different range of knowledge and information. It's what you're doing with your information and your knowledge. A lot of people talk about this unity aspect, but they're going based on a lot of people that always talk about that unity aspect that I noticed the pro-black energy of these pro-black aspects. We don't take nothing from the white man. We don't do nothing from the white man. We don't take nothing from the white man. We don't need their women. We don't need none of their shit. I agree with you. But here's the thought. If they have all the books, they're writing all the books, I got to go into Barnes & Noble. So you're saying don't go to Barnes & Noble? You're saying don't go to Books A Million? You're saying don't go to the bookstore over there? You're saying not go to that cult bookstore because it's owned by white people? You're saying don't go to the crystal shop because it's owned by white people? I asked somebody literally said, man, don't go to the white people for those crystals. You don't know what they're doing to the crystals. They can't do anything to you at a certain level. You see how we'll get scared, we'll get stuck on some shit, on a rhetoric based on fear, because we don't know what they did with this or what they're doing to this or what they're doing to this. But then those same people are the ones that go to McDonald's and go get that double bacon cheeseburger, or you'll go get that 4 for $4. So what's the difference between that 4 for $4 and that book they got over there? They can simply manipulate the pages, but there's always a tether in the information in that spell to where you can go back to the origins of it. By you sitting there saying, I don't read no white man's book, I don't look at Baphomet, I don't look at all this shit, their arrogance is your way out. Their arrogance is your way to fuck out. You're trying to resurrect ancient Kemet. You're trying to resurrect Moorish sciences and Moorish temples. You're trying to resurrect all these things that we've already done. You're using all these things that they already use. How beneficial is it to you if they show you it in the movies? Let them use it. It's about reversing it. It's about that adverse reverse. So when I said before, when I said in the last lectures, 2 lectures ago, talking about make America great again, use it for its purpose. Absorb that energy. That negative is going to propel you to your positive. I was at the bus stop the other day. And there was this older white gentleman, older white man. We'll say KBs, that's for shits and giggles. And he got on the Make America Great Again. He was sitting down on his sitting down on a little electrical box sitting there. We sitting there waiting for the bus together. And he's sitting back there. And as I'm walking up out of my neighborhood, walking out of my complex, 3 cops go into the neighborhood across the street from my complex. 2 more cops go down that way. Then another cop goes down. He comes back around, he makes a U-turn. He pulls up right there in front of us. He asks us a question. Did you see anybody dressed in red and black run across the street? No. Oh, okay. There was some break-ins happening over there. Oh, like, didn't say anything. I just walked up. Oh, okay. Make America Great Again, man, walk up. Man, they can see a pussy if it wasn't in their face. I laughed because that was funny as hell. Old people say the damnedest things. He was like, while he pulled up asking you that question, the guy was running right across the street right there. Said that to say this. Allow them to uncover. Allow them to do the work. I always hear people talk about, man, if we get, man, the reason that you're never going to get in the power at this level because you're not willing to do it. It's always that thought process of I would do this and I would do that. If I was a slave, man, I couldn't have been a slave back in that time, man, because I would have revolted. You would have done the same thing the motherfuckers at that time would have did because you would have had the fucking information that they fucking had. It's an ego appeasing thing to talk about. If I was back in slavery, I would have been one of the rebels. Eventually, you would have been dead. Where are all the rebels now? Where are all the revolutionary people now? Where are they now? Think about that. Where are all the revolutionary people at now that are still living? They're in their 60s and 70s, sitting there at their fucking retirement home, their house, wherever they're fucking at. They got exactly what they wanted at that fucking period in time. And now 9 times out of 10, they're retired in some way, shape, or fashion. And they're getting a check from the same government that they fought all of these against. So what are you really fighting at this level for? What are you really submitting yourself to at this level? You got 2 decisions. Either you're going to join in or you're going to walk the fuck away. Only 2 decisions. There's many ways to do it, but there's only 2 decisions. It only boils down to 2 decisions. 2 sides, same coin. What are you going to fucking do? If you walked into your house and your man or your chick was face down, ass up, or balls deep in your best friend or your worst enemy, whatever it may be, anything in between, what are you going to do? You got 2 decisions. Either you going to join in or you going to walk away. Anything else is asinine. I'm going to kill you. All right, cool. So you shot him. You shoot him, you shoot her. Okay, now they're both dead. Cops get called. Now you going in jail. This is how you think about it. You going to get locked up if you don't get away, get a lawyer, get away. You ain't got the money for that. You get locked up. You released their energy from their bodies. So you got to think about it like this. At a point in motherfucking time, when it comes to understanding this level about death and releasing from your body, at a point in time, you chose everything that's going on. So you didn't think you chose your death? You didn't think you chose your release? So when we start thinking about things in this aspect, shit start making more sense. You knew the path you chose was going to lead to something. What we get stuck on is they died too soon. They knew stepping into that based on everything they saw around that, whether they chose to see it or not, that shit was going to fucking happen to them. So if I go out right now and I call up the connect, I call up the plug and say, yo, I'm back in. And I know how I was when I was at that level. And I know what my family did. And I knew the constructs of what I had to do in order to, and I know I'm going to be the best. Whatever the fuck I'm going to do, I'm going to be the best at it. And I know how to be the fucking best at something is to destroy my competition. And I call my plug, hit him up on the phone. I call the family and put everything together. Say, yo, I'm about to do it down there. The first thing they're going to tell me, you know what you got to do down there first. They either got to get on, they got to be a part of our shit, or we got to take them out. We got to air that shit out. I got two decisions. Either I say, all right, cool, I'm all in, or I say, nah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing already. What are you willing to do to achieve what you want to fucking achieve? The thing that you got to break away from is that bad and good, that good and evil shit, the good and evil, bad and good, and look at negative and positive, and whether right or wrong, does it serve me or does it not serve me? Because the slaves or the enslaved, are prisoners of war in that time, they had two choices. Either submit to live or die to release, to avoid the suffering. They made their choices. So if you're presented in that point in time, what choice are you going to make? It's easy when the lights are on at your house and your water's on, and you go to the grocery store, and you can go to Walmart anytime you want. You can go to any way you want. It's easy as fuck to go over there and get your shit and go get your celery and go get your onions and go get your ribs or whatever the fuck you eat. Go get your fucking 9 cases of fucking bottled water, which I went and got 3 cases the other day. It's easy to do all that shit at that fucking point in time, but what if you can't go do it? What are you going to do then? What if every day like Christmas and Christmas Eve? You know, Christmas Eve, everything closed easy, and most times the only thing that's open on Christmas Day is gas stations and Chinese restaurants. So if you ain't doing everything you're supposed to be doing at that point in time, you can be whatever the fuck you want, but it's not feasible to be upset that you're not able to get what you're getting because you didn't get it from that time. That's what every myth talking about the ant and the grasshopper, the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare. That's what all these mythos were teaching you in school. That's what all these mythos and fables were teaching you. Every mythos talking about the Greek gods, when you start getting deep into your information, all these things was talking about there's a rise and there's a fall. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You still trying to stay in the beginnings. We did this, we did that. I know I could go on for hours and hours and hours talking about everything that we invented, mathematics and all this shit. But what is that going to do for me right now? But appease my ego to know that I was great at a fucking point in time. So if I understand the rise and fall of civilizations, I know that I'm going to be great again. So what am I doing to prepare myself to embrace that greatness? What am I doing now to prepare myself to embrace that fucking greatness? What am I doing now in this land of the dead? So when it comes time for me to reach that level of purgatory, in that limbo, what am I doing for my rebirth? What am I really talking about when I'm talking about new year, new me? That's the thought process. All this shit's going to equate to be the same over and over and over again. It's going to change based on your consciousness. It's going to change based on our consciousness, based on our awareness, based on our wokeness, based on our knowing. The more you know, the less other shit's going to make sense. That's where the contradiction. You should be looking for the contradictions at every fucking point in time. Some people don't want nothing to be a contradict. That contradicts what I learned 2 weeks ago. That contradicts that and this, and that. It's supposed to contradict. An occultist, I look for contradictions all the fucking time. I look for changes all the fucking time. One of the chief characteristics of my sign is looking at constant change. I do not like restriction at all. I don't like restriction. I don't like to be restricted to one set of ideals or routines. I'm constantly evolving my mental scape so that I'm always prepared. I'm always ready because I know my core is always evolving and turning and taking in that information. My soul is constantly feeding. I'm constantly feeding my soul more. So my soul is always hungry, that insatiable hunger. They gave you that aspect when Lucifer, the show Lucifer, when the cop, he went to jail, and then the cop went to hell, and Lucifer's brother went down there and brought him back from hell and brought him back to the, he had an insatiable hunger. He could not eat enough. He cannot eat enough. On this level, these niggas that are under that alder broth, they'll never be fed. That's where that gluttony aspect came from. On the negative aspect, I'm very gluttonous because I'm always hungry for information. So yes, I'm very gluttonous. Every time I get more information and it just leads me to more shit, yes, I'm very prideful. Negative, positive. That negative side of that pride to have you sitting there on a belief system that no longer benefits you. The positive side of your pride, it means you're standing in your truth. No matter what a motherfucker says, you're standing in your shit. You're standing true to what you know. You stand true in your knowing. So that pride is a positive thing. You know how to use it. Sin or shink. Sin, translated from the Hebrew text, which the Gnostics, one thing about the Gnostics, they gave us an aspect of saying that they came in and stole our shit. In reality, the only way that you could steal something is if you first understand it. So in the aspect of understanding some shit, if they came out of caves and they talk about the Moors going to educate them and give them certain amounts of information, how could they come in and take some shit that they didn't understand without being given some type of information in order to know what the hell they were looking for in the first place? You gave them the answers. You gave them enough answers because you knew they absorb shit because they're your children. They're an aspect of you. They're a lower aspect of you. It's like when you look at any story, you look at the creation story of how they created white people from grafted from our divine spark. They don't have a divine spark. They got some of our divine ingredient. That way they're carbon based. They got a little bit of our divine. We blew that breath into them with that, and they're grafted from a pig and a monkey. Then you look at the history of it, and you say Neanderthals. Then it's the RH gene for Neanderthals. That's what's in all of them. That's why the motherfuckers can grow tails. And then you'll see something that will appease your ego, and you're like, yeah, I knew I was right, because they have a picture out now of a magnified picture of a monkey's hand. They have a picture of a monkey's paw, an albino gorilla. I want to say it's an albino gorilla, and it looks like a white person's hand. Within the next couple of months, they're gonna be like, see, yeah, we all evolved from monkeys. They only can use the rhetoric in the information. Hold on 1 second. Gotta let them detoxes. But yeah, back to what I was saying. They only can use what they have access to. At the level that they're at, they only can use what they have access to. They have access, they don't have access to you. So they'll try at any given point in time. That's why when you're looking at this timeline of these events that are happening, missing people and the people are missing and all this, you're looking at people missing, and then they coming out with new products with melanin and all these other products and bullshit. How do you think they're still getting it? How do you think they're still getting their access to the things that they're getting? Because you keep looking back. You keep looking back. And think about it like this. If you got to keep looking back at it and see that they keep doing the same exact shit over and over again, wouldn't that put you ahead? You're so far ahead that you are now behind. Your thought process of how your mental clarity and how you're moving into your life, because you're basing yourself based on external or mundane, exoteric thought processes. Like when I said earlier, I'm sitting here like 50. This ring costs a little bit. This ring costs a little bit. Bandana costs $1. I got a stone and it costs $2. Got on a tank top I got from Hot Topic 2 years ago. I love because it says "Make music great again." In that aspect, I had another message to that. But we're stuck on platforms based on the man in the suit standing upright is where you get that thought from, like, since y'all don't believe shit unless a white person tells y'all in that aspect, we're still stuck on that rhetoric. But how did they get there? We're stuck on they're there, but we're not looking at the makeup of how that person got there. That's just like someone to sit there and say, I can't understand. They want us to support their businesses. We want to support, we got to buy black, but they overcharge for everything. Let's see. If I put out the iPhone 11, that's a bad analogy. If I say, okay, cool, the curved TV came, when the curved television came out, the LG came out with that curved joint. That bitch was like $6,000. I remember because I looked at it I was like, I want one of those, but I'm not spending $6,000. I can go to Walmart now for a curved television and get that bitch for like $300. Because the more I buy into it, the faster the faster I must supply the demand. So I cut corners, so I make it cheaper. So then that's when you get the bootlegs. That's similar to like you going into, that's like looking at Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan for motherfucking decades was getting the prints for Gucci and Prada and in creating bubble coats and everything else that they weren't making. He took the archetype of what they made, their prints, and put them on their own things. That's the same similar method. They're doing it from an esoteric standpoint of an intellectual ceiling that they can't go any further than. So to keep that program going into your mind, I've laughed at horror movies my entire fucking life. I laugh at any horror movie. I love seeing this shit. The shit funny as fucking hell. I laugh every fucking time. But after I stopped laughing at it, I started looking at it like, yo, why is it that every time they show an exorcism movie, they always show something, a demon being removed from some little white girl or some white man or some white person? And then I thought about it. I was like, yo, they fucking with shit they ain't supposed to be fucking with. They say it in the whole fucking storyline. They fucking with shit they ain't supposed to be fucking with. And then they getting the results and then they going fucking crazy. When you look at when you start looking at observing to hear to actually learn, look at Facebook, look at Instagram, type in, search on Instagram, witches in Instagram. Black witches in Instagram. Look at my man, the Hood Shaman. The same shit that used to scare you ain't even scaring you no more. Because you at a different level. When you get to that different level, I broke down talking about dreams. We had an understanding, which goes all the way back synonymous to the priest. The priest separated all of this knowledge into the different writings because they understood it. That's what the Gnostic text will teach you. They were looking at different elements of knowledge, and they were like, all right, cool, we got to translate it to this, and this, and we'll do this, and this. And we'll put it together like this, and this. All right, cool, we'll translate it, send that over here, we're going to put this over here. The Phoenicians are going to take this, the Etruscans are going to take this, the Typhonians are taking this, we'll take this from the Typhonian text, we'll take this and we'll make this, and we'll put all this information all over just to span across the globe. There's an actual incantation that's written on a Kemetic wall talking about we will put the information, and you look at it bind on that time. It said binding in that time, we will take this information and we'll put it within a space where they never can go. Basically, we're breaking down talking about your DNA. And then that goes further into Bobby Hemmett broke that down. When they finally broke the genome, they said they researched all the genes, researched every strand of DNA, whatever DNA means. But then they started using it on you. Understand the history of this space. They've done nothing this entire time but follow your lead. Now scale it down and look at your life right now. Motherfuckers are simply following your lead. When you're not there, what happens? When you're not in a certain space, what happens when you're not in that space? You go from being the one that was being talked with to being talked about. That's that ego is going to have you sitting there thinking like, nah, I don't want to be that motherfucking different. I don't want to be that fucking weird outside of everybody else. I don't want to do that. I want to fit in with people. I want to fit in with the people over there. I want to be like those people over there. That has nothing to fucking do with you anymore. Stop looking back. There's nothing back there. The information that comes into you, that shit that you download, the shit that you read, the shit that you research, that's your shit. That's you. It ain't meant for them. Let the dead lay with the dead. I've been saying that this entire time, building into this. Let the dead lay with the dead. As we lay this groundwork and we go into this 2020 vision, now we're going to start expounding upon these different parts of this knowledge and actually starting to apply it to our day-to-day in our life, into our lives. Because if you don't get the basis of understanding the shadows and understanding how the shadow work works and understanding this real actual information, all this other shit that you need to start taking in is not going to make sense to you. Or it's going to ward you off from the evil of what it actually is. All of it's you. The hardest thing to break away from is something that you've been used to your entire life. Man, I've been used to this right here and that right there and this right here my entire life, man. It's kind of hard to go back because, man, I've been doing this forever. I mean, I've been over here doing this with these people over here forever. That's nice. That's fine and dandy. Then people have done, you've been there, done that. You got that t-shirt. The only thing you should be looking back when you're going back in those spaces is understanding what the fuck it actually meant. Someone got shot. You know how many family members I've lost? I could do one or two things. Either sit there and want to have revenge against every motherfucker that shot somebody in my fucking family or took somebody out that I love, or I can have my moment of grievance because the grievance is okay. That's knowledgeable to that. And then take myself to the next level of saying, you know what? Energy doesn't dissipate, so that energy's out there. How about I use that energy? How about I invoke that power into myself and then move forward and use it the way I need to use it? We're still behind that curve because now we'll have motherfuckers sitting there talking about, yo, I'm going to do some voodoo on a motherfucker. Okay. That's nice. You know, make you all right, cool. You simply setting yourself up for failure because you're doing exactly what they want you to do. Something on this level wants you to do that. So now all that shit made sense. I remember all those little things talk about roots and fucking spells and fucking hex bags and hexes and spells. Stepping into that realm, you must accept everything at that level. When you rebirth and resurrect yourself, and when you accept it, when you go into a new level, you are rebirthed into that level. So if you take it on based on your chakras, how you're aligned up in yourself, and you want the pleasure of seeking revenge on somebody, when that energy comes down, it's going to hit that point for you to hit that point, and it's going to click. And now you sitting there. Now you the voodoo lady. Now you the voodoo man. How about you study it, understand that that's what you are, and then take yourself further. Allow their fear to eat them. You ain't even got to do the shit. Just them believing in you, just them believing in you, have that type of power. You're already winning. Therefore, you ain't got to do shit. You ain't really got to do shit at this level. Just you having the knowledge and the awake sense of being able to do it sets you apart. Allow it to do what it's supposed to do. Allow the knowledge to do what it's supposed to do. Allow the rhetoric, their ignorance, to do what it's supposed to do. You know better. You're advanced. You know that at this level, they steal babies and kill your brothers and kill your sisters. You know they'll do that at this level. But to help you get over that hump of being scared of that shit, guess what you need to do? Reverse the shit. Reverse that shit. Strike fear into them. That's your power. That's your gift. But you ain't got to do it. You ain't got to get your hands dirty like them. Not in shit that doesn't really fucking concern you. If they kill off you, they shoot one. If they will lose their fucking mind if you kill their fucking dog. If you kill a dog, Mike Vick is still getting fucking hit over some shit he did. Well, he wasn't even a part of it 20 years ago. But since we get so emotionally attached to shit, man, that's fucked up, man. They're still doing that to Mike Vick, man. He did all that great shit. He did all the other shit around that. Mike Vick is a part of that realm. As long as the only reason that it still can hit him is because he's a part of that realm, and he must accept that shit at that level to keep getting what he's getting. You walk into that fucking house and you see a motherfucker, either you joining in or you leaving. Anything else is going to lead to another consequence. Are you confident in your consequence that you're about to cause? Are you confident in the cause from your consequence? Are you confident in the effects? That goes deep into that thought process of you ain't never seen someone put that thought out there, and I thought about it. It was like the way they depict us. It's all right. You take that thought process into your head. If someone sit there and say, you'll never hear, and they say that shit on the fucking media, you never seen a gang member kill a member of the KKK. And they put that post all on the motherfucking news in the media. Like, yeah, man, y'all ain't killing the motherfuckers need to be killed. Y'all killing each other. Y'all killing yourselves. Y'all killing yourselves. The way they depict you in the media, you will never see a headline of a Crip or Blood or whatever other gang member killed a KKK member. You'll never see that in the news. What you will see is a thug, code word for nigger, you'll see a thug killed a father of 5. So it's there. You just gotta look for it. But what the fuck's the point? You already should. We're gonna get deep into the understanding of that. They won't. They have the dead only can walk in this realm. All they can do is walk to and fro in this world. One level, you look at the devil walks to and fro. They only can live in this space. So you kill one of them, they're either going to get assimilated and go away forever, or they're going to return as a spirit in another one of these motherfucking white people that you so fucking mad at. That's all they can do is return here. Since you carry the same negative attributes of death in their aspect of them understanding death as they understand death, guess what? Since you think that when you die, there's nothing else, guess what? You return here because this is all you actually understand. That's how that cycle happens. The cycle of life. What you really should be thinking is like, do I really want to bring something down in this fucking room? If I'm going through all this shit down here, why I want a motherfucker to return? But you got to also understand in that aspect, in that circle of life, when there is a return of an ancestor back to this level, it's because they did not do what they needed to do the first time. So you prolonging your life on this level of this rhetoric has you stuck repeating the same cycle of events in your day-to-day. You're already dead. The reason the shit keeps repeating itself and it's so prominent in your life is because you're not understanding it. That's that cycle. That's that spiral effect. The shit keep fucking happening. You keep waking up to the same bullshit ass job. You keep waking up to the same, I'm sorry I was asleep, my battery died. You keep waking up to the same stupid shit over and over and over again, another explanation, and you got one or two choices. Either you're going to accept the shit that's happening or you're going to step the fuck away. You either going to accept the shit that's happening or you're going to learn from what you stepped away from. You can't understand the box while you inside the box. You cannot sit here and tell me about the outside of this box unless someone told you about what the outside of the box looks like. I'm the one that's showing you what's on the outside of that box. That's a gift to be able to look outside of the box. I can look inside the box, outside of the box. I can make the box disappear. I can make the box reappear. That's the confidence in my power. That's that confidence in that collective consciousness. The only unity is on that collective God frequency and that confidence. Everybody listening to this type of information and the content that I put out at this level, just listening to this is bringing you to that new thought, that new wavelength, that thought process in your mind to take you to the next level. The ones that are not listening to you or thinking that shit, I don't think anything's fucking crazy. Motherfucker, yo, that's crazy as fuck. No, it ain't. There's a reason for it. Just ain't look for it yet. Is it, will me looking for the reason benefit me? Will it serve me or will it not serve me? There's no right or wrong. It's will it serve you or will it not serve you? Remember, slavery was legal. From their aspect, it benefited them. But on that same aspect, they broke that down in The Witcher. I saw that like in the second episode. Without this side, without something on this side can't happen. So you can't have both sides. It ain't about sides. You can be pro-black, or white power. The key to you rising is understanding both sides in order to step above them. That's your power. That's your confidence. You're above this shit. You're not part of this. You thinking that you're a part of this, and by you thinking that you're a part of this shit makes you think that you can change some shit here. The only thing I think about changing is my shoes, changing my hair, changing the channel, changing up my menu, my diet, food that I cook, changing what book I just read. I only think about the changes that are serving me to my evolution. Anything outside of that really doesn't fucking matter because it's going to change just you thinking about the change is going to assimilate it. That's similar to when they were talking about concentration camps and concentration camps and the military becoming the police force, and then they show you images of motherfucking cops coming in with motherfucking full tactical gear. They showed you that shit in The Purge. They showed you all this shit in these fucking movies. They showed you in Total Recall when the motherfucker was sitting there and sat there in a chair and said, yo, I want to be a secret agent and all this, and this. And they gave him his own life back. So he remembered all this shit. That's you. Everything that you think that you want to be and you're ready to go to, that's you. You just got to set that thought process in your mind. And there's steps to do this. But once you are ready for the teacher to appear to show you those steps, the reflection will only be you showing you those steps from a different level. Two sides of the universe having a conversation from two different sides. If I wasn't sitting here in this universe having this conversation, in another universe, I'm out there listening to someone else say the same thing. I, at a point in time, was the one. I still watch the lectures because you always gonna learn something new from the lectures. Bobby Hemmitt's, Panics, Brother Sabaz's, all these fucking tapes. You always gonna find something new because you approaching it from a different angle. So I'm always a student because I'm always a teacher. It's just that in this probability, on this level, I can sit here and have these conversations based on the knowing of where I'm at. I can speak confidently about what I speak on. I can now put myself, now that I've gotten to this certain point, now I can go into the point of actually teaching the methodologies based on what I know. I went to my store for my drink, my pomegranate ginger ale, pure ginger, pure pomegranate with hibiscus. Tastes fucking delicious. And I went into the crystal shop. There's a vegan health store, and then there's a crystal shop right here in the same space. I went into the crystal shop, and this lady walked in, sister walked in, and she was talking about her daughter and something with something. And I was walking around getting my candles and grabbing my stuff put on my altar and do my thing. Crystals, incense, all my shit. My usual shopping list. And then she went from there, and then she was right again. The health store where I was at. And we kept crossing paths. My ego would have had me try to start a conversation. Oh, I heard this about your daughter, da, 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 da. Me stepped out of that space. Just me being in that space changed the entire pattern of thought in that area. So I allow it to do what it does next. That's how that synchronization comes in. Every time I looked at what time it was today, I've caught every single triple number. It was, I woke up this morning, it was 4:44. I woke up again in the middle of the night, it was 5:55. I woke up again, it was 10:10. I woke up again, it was 11:11. I woke up again, it was 12:12. I woke up again, I looked at my phone again, it was 4:44, or it was 3:33. I caught every single number. In my mind now, subconsciously, I don't have to be like, I caught a number. Now, occasionally, yeah, I do throw it up there on my Facebook, because I mean, it's a moment that I'm sharing of my life. But in the aspect of it's already ingrained in my subconscious. I already have the knowing of what it is. So the only way that I have to show it outwards is if I'm doing it from a teaching aspect. That's the difference between that. That's the difference between that caring and that compassion. I have the compassion to share these moments and share the content based on my knowledge of me understanding and having my understanding and the knowledge of what I've taken in. So anybody at that level, if I send something out there, send it out there. Someone to put a heart under it. I'll put something out. Someone to put a heart under it. I return that. I can tell people, I can tell the climate of the community based on every time someone posts something on my Facebook, I automatically put a heart under it. Because I'm gracious to wow, motherfuckers is sharing knowledge like this. But you can tell the people just by looking at when they put likes or put little thumbs up under your shit all the fucking time. It's like your ego, you hit your ego and you be sitting there like, man, what the fuck? They only putting likes under my shit. Doesn't fucking matter. I know what I do. I know what I stand in. I know my knowing. I know my belief. I know my strength. I'm growing in my power. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's what's going to get you through your rebirth. That's what's going to take you to that next level. You can't sit here in that same thought process over and over and over again thinking somebody's going to give you more than what you're ready for. If you got to get ready for this shit, you'll never be ready. If you got to get ready for this shit, you're never going to be ready. It's not for you. If you got to overthink it, it's not for you at that point in time. I'm not saying the whole thing ain't for you, but you got some work to do. This shit, you will go fucking bananas if you approach it as a human. The biggest mantra to do is for yourself. Even if you take a voice recorder and you record yourself and loop it, the mantras that you say to yourself, the same way motherfuckers want to start with affirmations, but they ain't tapped into the power of what the fuck you actually are or how you can actually do it. So you thinking as a human doing a prayer rather than being a God doing a command. Our entire fucking system was based on commands. What's the derivative, mundane byproduct of it? That's why you hear so many Africans have that fucking strong ass fucking deep ass fucking throat, deep ass fucking voice, because it's coming from streaming from having such a confidence in their voice and confidence, and we make commands. How did they distract? How did it give you a distraction on that? When they tell you that African men are so fucking domineering and they only want shit certain ways. That's some, not all. You have to go further back. We get stuck on one of the things that that a lot of people get stuck on is based on you have to fit that certain mold. You got to fit a certain space. You got to fit that shit ain't here no more. That shit is done. That shit at this point in time going into 2020, that shit is gone. That shit should be out of your fucking mind. how you embrace your shit, how you make your moves, how you empower and invoke and evoke your energy is based solely on you. You may think that I make thought. I was lost in train of thought. You may think something or some way works for you, then it works for you. Put your methodology, put your knowledge, and apply it to making it work for you in your space. That's how it works in your space. The way that I do things on my side, it works for me on that side of myself. My love of myself creates the birth and the rebirth and the resurrection based on how I move forward in the compatibility of what I'm around. You cannot be afraid, because fear in every aspect, everything is everything. It will reflect in everything that you do. You will not let go of certain things. You will hinder yourself from fucking growth and flourishing in what you need and what you're saying that you want to acquire in your life based on the fear of letting go. I don't fear shit. I had a small moment in time where I had a little fear about things because I didn't know which way to go, but I have to accept whatever comes next. I started stepping back and accepting, and then shit lined up, and I got answers that I needed to get to confirm what I already knew. That's Godfidence. That's you being a God. That's you tapping into your goddess energy. That's when you repeat that mantra over and over, and you loop that again over and over and over again for the ones that have just started to the ones that are further in. Continue your mantras. I went from being God. I went from being a God. When it came time to get into the dark shit, I said, I'm Lucifer. When they started talking about crosswords and shit, I started saying I was bearing Samdei. I invoked that energy into me. I allowed it to possess me to take me through that path. What's negative to others is positive to you. In somebody's story, you're going to be the bad guy. In somebody's myth, you're going to be the devil. You have to be willing to accept that. You have to be willing to accept these things, because if you're not, that's what's going to be your hindrance. You're going to be realizing you created your own hindrance. So you're going to be rich in that wealth of that knowledge. But that knowledge is then you understand that, I'm the one that held myself back. I'm the one that set myself up. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that did that. These aspects of yourself are going to take you even higher and even further than you've ever realized before. The ways that are old are falling apart. The ways of this world and how this world activates and is cultivating is falling apart. This illusion is losing its luster, is losing its power. The reflection of that is the shit that you're seeing now that they're using to try to sustain this level. The way that this space was created was based off of chaos. It was based off your chaos. It was based off your havoc. It was based off your unrest. It was based on you wanting to be human. It was based on you wanting to be a part of it. But now that in that collective consciousness to itself, people are no longer wanting to be a part of it. They're wanting something more. Everything around here is changing that cannot sustain that level of light. So now that you're seeing these different things, such as the archons and all this energy, no matter how it's disposed or displaced, you're looking at that. We talked about the archon energy. That's that entity of this level that was created of the Adalabroth for that mythos. To understand that, the esoteric understanding, you created that. I give you a thought. If everything that you disliked about yourself, you could put into another conduit. All of the negatives about you. And we're talking about like deep shit, like the inability to fear, the inability to absorb and see the way you need to see. All these aspects that have created the archetype of the white man. There are aspects of yourself that you, at that point in time, when we're in that higher space, yo, I don't want that shit. Send it down there. It's all down there. It's all beneath you. You're so far ahead, you're behind. That's what I mean by you're so far ahead, now you're behind. Now you're faced with everything that you kicked out. It's just like you get into a relationship and you spend the first couple weeks, months, nowadays, motherfuckers spending weeks, but you spend those first couple of months in yourself when you're doing what you're doing, and you end up, I don't think I want to do that. All of that shit's being reflected in front of you. Your rebirth is going to require you to go through those gates. The same gates that got you here, you're going through those gates in reverse. The only thing that's changing is that's going to test your worth and your stability and your sustainability in what you're trying to go to next. This shit's going to get ugly. It's ugly as hell already. This is a wasteland. It's a prison. How much prettier can you make a prison? How much prettier can you make a burning house? How much emptiness are you going to fill with mundane thoughts and ideas and actions without actually using it to its fullest potential? When you know more, you do more. You do better. You do higher level. You do higher level shit. You no longer will have to say, when you get to that level, you'll no longer have to say, I don't fuck with them low vibrational niggas. Your presence and your energy and your aura will speak for you. The only reason that you're saying it, outside of saying it to yourself as an affirmation or as a mantra, that's the only reason you should be saying it. I had a relationship conversation and I saw a post, and that shit really, you should never say that you'll never find nobody better than me. In the reality, you're right. I'm not going to find anybody like you better. I'm not going to find anybody like you. I'm going to find somebody better than you for me. And you're going to find someone better for you, better than me for you. That's just like this coming into the spiritual level. You get cast out and ostracized by family members and friends. You ain't going to find nobody that's doing the shit like the shit I did for you. Okay, that's great. Because I'm no longer doing that shit. Because that subconsciously has your ego searching for the same shit that you did before. Real niggas? Niggas ain't shit. I remember I made the purpose mistake. I had a conversation. One chick was like, niggas ain't shit. I was like, 'cause you looking for niggas and not kings. And I explained to her what the difference between a nigga and a king was. I wasn't going to say what a god was, because that would have took the whole different conversation. And she just looked at me like I lost my fucking mind. And then instead of me trying to go further, I put the seed out there. And then I told myself, I was like, yo, they only understand these things. They only understand the depth of what you're saying based on the depth of themselves. So they continue doing what they're doing. The ones around you, the dead, as I call them, they're going to continue doing exactly what the fuck they're doing. They're going to continue waking up. They're going to continue talking about they're going to continue wearing their matching pajamas and cheat all year and then wear their matching pajamas on Christmas time. They continuously wait till Valentine's Day to tell their wife that they love them and go tell them, yo, let's get engaged at Red Lobster, and motherfuckers are going to cheer and be happy. And then you'll have them same people sitting there like, I wish some motherfucker would propose to me at Red Lobster or whatever, Applebee's or whatever restaurant. You better propose to me this way. You got to live in the standard that you set. You got to live in the standard that you set. So if you want this God-like energy in your life, you want that goddess energy in your life, you want that energy in your life, you must become the conduit of it. That's your rebirth. If you want more money, if you want to attract more money, you must become the conduits and open to all the streams of how money is created at this level or whatever level you're trying to get to. Billionaires don't think like niggas that make hundreds of dollars. Same difference. Same. Remember, everything is everything. In order for me to stand in the ground that I stand in, I cannot think like the real nigga that is excited over Instagram models and some chick sending him a Snapchat video of her in the shower. That's not the level that I'm on. That's not what I want. I want more. So in order to want more, I must become the conduit, the counterpart, and submit myself to the conduits of that energy of what I'm going for. That means I can't go. That means it'll be asinine for me to go into a church and pump mad knowledge into these dead niggas. And then all I'm going to get is pushback and cognitive dissonance. Time to let that shit go. I got one or two choices. We got one or two choices. Either we going to join in or we going to leave. But looking back behind us ain't really going to do shit. Looking behind and say, yeah. Looking behind you, holding on to some memory, holding on when you was in Pampers, holding on to when y'all had all them great memories. You got the memories. It's time to do more. It's time to rise. A lot of motherfuckers talk about rising, but they like staying in place. They like the sun on the third day of the solstice. Constantly resurrecting their thoughts in the same bullshit. I'm tired of the safe. I want the crazy shit to happen. I want the chaos. I love that shit. I merit that shit. I call for that shit in my mantras and when I meditate. I call for the crazy shit because I know I'm going to be able to understand some shit at that fucking level. That's the power of you knowing yourself. That's the power of loving yourself. Love has no bounds. So when you look at that at the everything aspect, that means you'll do everything you need to do to sustain that love. So do you really love yourself? That goes deeper into that love aspect. Do you really love yourself? That's why someone says, If you love me, you're willing to die for me. That's that aspect when motherfucker says, if you love me, you're willing to die for me. In that aspect, when a woman says this, she knows damn well you ain't gonna die for her. But it's the aspect in that ego. Man, you'll die for me. I ain't gotta do nothing but be a God and transcend. If you're basing your compatibility, if you're basing your love and not looking at compatibility, that's where you're gonna fail at. That's what you'll be working on for it. That's one of the things that you'll be working on in your shadow work. Why don't no one love me for me? The motherfuckers you want to love you unconditionally, you cannot love somebody with conditions. You setting a condition that you'll play the game if they admit certain shit. You have the knowledge and the expounded knowledge of knowing what the fuck they did. So what the fuck are you waiting for? A motherfucker to pat you on the back. Motherfucker say, yeah, I did that. What the fuck we gonna do next? You got one or two decisions. One or two. Either you're going to accept the food that's being given to you, accept the place that's being handed to you, or make your own. I don't know about a lot of these motherfuckers, but I'm creating my own shit. If you have not already subscribed to Get Inside on my God Hour podcast, this week's episode was Rich or Poor, the acronym, realizing you create your own happiness, or the Poor Mindset, procrastinating one's own rise. God Hour podcast. I drop a new podcast every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time because I'm on the East Coast. But I always have the information up for that. Subscribe to Get Inside for that. It's available on multiple platforms. We will be getting deeper into these lectures now we put out this nice groundwork. It's time to move to that next phase, getting deeper into these aspects. Start breaking down everything from movies to TVs. I'm going to start doing the interpretations based on my level of knowledge and understanding. But remember, every time that you get information, research and research again. Start looking for contradictions in information, because the contradictions that you'll start finding is the understanding and interpretation based on you. That's the main thing when you get into the occult. An occultist, we look for the contradictions in everything. Remember, there's nothing good. There's negative and positive. So I did a breakdown about Christmas, the colostrum and the entire thing about that. And I looked for the contradictions to make my connections. So synonymous, thinking about the rise of Jesus or the Christ consciousness, raising into yourself your own savior, it goes into the same aspect of Santa Claus depositing and dropping down the chimney within you, dropping down that chimney, going down your spine, depositing gifts to all the positive works that you do. Go synonymous into Jesus blesses you to bind on your divine works. It's all within you. Everything is within you. Looking into that. What else am I about to say? I will be putting up the post for when I will start doing the more in-depth classes. I'm looking at a couple different platforms to create my content for my own platform for that, because I really want to stray away and create that example. On one end, I want to create that example. On the other end, I want to put together that aspect of understanding to you can create anything that you want. You just got to be willing to put in that work. And that's one of the biggest things that we fall apart from, is not putting in our own work. What was I about to do? Yeah, we got the God Hour podcast. We got the God Hour podcast out. That's that good old hour of dropping that first bit of information out into the world. That same context. We have to, as I always keep saying, we got to keep putting. What we're supposed to do is we're moving into our consciousness in that collective. When it comes to talking about unity, is the aspect of making what we're doing normal. And the only way to make these things normal is to be on that wavelength or in that level. And taking away the ego and the humanity aspect allows you to be open to, if I have a conversation, remember two sides of the universe having that conversation, I'm more open to having that conversation because I'm learning to diagnose, I'm learning to observe the different understanding. Therefore, my ego doesn't get in the way, and I feel like I got to shrink myself down to be comfortable for you. I don't want to be comfortable for anybody else. You want around you ones that are at a different level. You want the ones around you that are at that different level, so therefore you learn. Because if you don't have other people around you that are at a different level for you to learn, how else do you rise? You have to have the people that are around you that in that aspect are below you, and the ones that are above you. You have to have that constant gravitational pull of energy around you, or how else are you going to feed, and how else are you going to nourish yourself? How else are you going to feed, and how else are you going to nourish? That masculine aspect to provide, to protect, to display that knowledge, that's the masculine aspect of yourself, of being a god. The feminine aspect is nurturing and taking that wisdom from what you're learning of yourself in order to cultivate and grow. The spiritual realm is the feminine energy. So they've taught us that entire time. We're going to get deeper and deeper into that. They've taught us this entire fucking time to suppress the feminine. The entire time they told our ancestors, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, uncles, they taught them to suppress that mass. They taught us to suppress that energy. Suppress the feminine, keep the feminine down, keep the woman down, keep the woman below you. The woman shouldn't speak. The woman shouldn't do this. How else does a king lead if he doesn't have his queen to guide him? How else can you lead if you don't know where you can lead somebody off a cliff, but if you're not giving that guidance, like, let's go this way, how the fuck you gonna not fall off the cliff? Everything's been turned around on you. You want that love, you want that energy, you want that love, you want that peace, you want that love, you want that peace, you want this unity, but you got to be the counterpart of certain things. If you're not a counterpart of it, then how else does this shit even remotely come together? They got you so far, you behind. Right now, I'm typing in the multiple links, the multiple pieces. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. What the fuck was that? I don't want that. Cancel. I didn't mean to press that. All right, go back. All right, cool. I'm typing in the multiple links of the information for linkages. The first link I put up, that is my that's my Cash App. Because in order for me to create, in order for me to freely create as I create and I start putting out new content and this information, the normal stresses of the day-to-days no longer hit to me. So I just put up my Cash App. I put up the God Hour podcast we're on episode 8. I think we got one more. We got one more week in this month, and we're gonna end out the season. Put that season finale and put out that. It's gonna be this next podcast that I put out. The next episode is gonna be a tie-in of everything, and I build to what's next. If you're not subscribed to get into the God Hour podcast, I suggest you do, because that is some, and this is coming from the most humble speaking to that. That is some of the most, I listen to my podcast similar to how I listen to other lectures, listen to my lectures from time to time. And I don't even realize the amount of information that I put out because I'm in that zone. I'm in that channel. Like after I'm done, when I go back and edit and put in certain parts, tags onto this podcast, into this lecture, I'll listen to things that I say and be like, damn, that shit really, I said this, I put this out, I said this, I put all this stuff out. But yeah, got our podcast, put up the Cash App link in there, drop $1, it don't even matter. But I will start the classes soon. I'm gonna put out the other information for I think I put out my email address a couple lectures ago. If you need or you feel like you want to have more in-depth talks, more in-depth speak, I'm gonna put that out there now. Yep. I always put the email address up there. Drop an email, drop your link in that email. Drop an email, drop a link. You have a question. Anything from book information to visualization, meditation, any questions you may have, dream interpretations, little things like that. I will get back to you. Build that Ashe, to build that to build that up for you, because the entire purposing for your life moving forward is to be the best you. There's nothing in this world better than you. There's nothing more powerful than you. And if I can aid in any way to help you get to that next level of yourself, because I do meditation. I do guided meditation. These are the things I'm going to start actually when I'm putting the curriculum together. Guided meditation, visualizations, shadow work, rituals, all these things are in aspects of understanding you. The methodologies that I do teach and I teach from on that standpoint are custom to the subscriber. That means I can tell one person, go buy a candle, do this, this, and this, and give them the whole methodology behind doing a candle. But another person that's more advanced or less advanced, I'll be like, okay, cool. First, we got to ask about, I wish I had my mug. I can be like, tell me about your mother. Get you deep into your subconscious. I will start doing the ritual work and the thing from everything that I will teach will basically be breaking into your subconscious, and then we'll start into your chakra work and then building into that level. So Cash App podcast, drop an email link. You can just send me an email link with your email link, just so I have your information on what you call it, and we'll build from there. Building from there, judging, because this is that weed out point. Judging from what you send in those questions and I answer the questions based on that depth to the question. You can ask one question, it can answer everything else, but you may want to go deeper. And I do the consultations. I will give you a price based on how deep we're going to go into your consultation and what you're going into. And I'll give the prices are custom. I don't do set prices except for certain rituals, but I'll have that price list up pretty soon. So look out for that. I see Melanin Peas in. I was laughing because I remember the other couple lectures she was talking about. She had a dream about onion rings being in the refrigerator. That was very eye-opening. We did a whole dream interpretation live. That was very fucking great. We're gonna start doing some more of that. We're gonna start having fun because this is fun. We got to take out the aspect of it's scary. All the aspects that we're going to break out of, that we need to break out of, and making this a normalized for us because we're at that level, it's normal for us. So those questions are fucking normal. Those questions about, so what about this and this and this? Those are normal. But as we're going deeper and deeper into it, if I don't have the answer, I'm going to give you the exact place where I got the answer from. That's what you also have to look at when you're looking at occultic. You're looking at any spiritualist, anybody that's giving out this information. Make them give you the book. Make them give you, if they did not get it as a divine channel or based off of a builder for information that they built up of researching for themselves, have them give you the reference point. Because the last thing you need to do is be following somebody else. That's another big thing going into this 2020. We're done following others for stuff that we can get for ourselves. We got to stop giving away our power. We got to stop giving away our divine energy, our divine power, our divine presence. We got to stop doing that because the more and more we do that, the more and more this shit sustains it. You keep giving your power away, just like you getting angry with somebody over some stupid shit that they did based on their understanding and knowledge. That's how this shit sustains. It's that state of I don't give a fuck that we're going to try to get into. But yeah. Any questions? If you do not send it to me in the email, I would put out my phone number, but there's crazy people out there and don't need that yet. That's more on a more personal tip. If you drop me an email and you put your number in there, you want to converse back and forth on that level, then yeah. But yeah, the public sense of my phone number being out there, just not going to step into that realm. Any of that, like, this is that question and answer period. We didn't ran it up to almost 4 hours. But other than that, I mean, the craziest thing happened earlier when I was setting up for the lecture. I got these new instinct. Crazy ass shit. Set the goddamn fire alarm off. That shit was fucking crazy. So yeah. But other than that, if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe. Get inside. Share. If you love it, like it, hit that thumb up button, share it, allow the knowledge to do what it's supposed to do. I notice a lot of times content will be put out and there's still that adept fear to it that people won't put it out there for fear. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to deal with for myself. I had to put myself into this thought process of there is going to be people that are going to listen because they're on that frequency, on that level of listening. With us, a lot of the times we'll step back based on that ego. When I said earlier, based on ego, and we'll literally sit there and say, "Nah, I don't want to put that out there because I'm afraid of what's going to happen next." I've had countless conversations with people, and they'll be like, "Man, I would get out there and do this, and I would put this out there, and I would put out a channel and all these things, but then someone's going to take it, and somebody's going to run with it, and somebody's going to use that's ego." I don't care because I know I can go back and I can go word for word, pull up the book, pull up my information, pull up the notes where I got it from, and put my stuff out there. We have to get out of that aspect of sitting there and somebody being like, "No, somebody's going to steal my..." I don't care. Knowledge is infinite. The point of knowledge is to be dispersed. That takes you back into that aspect of reading them books that the white people wrote. They got your shit in there. Most of the stuff, they're not talking about. One good thing that you'll understand, Bobby Hemmer broke it down, most of the books that they write when it comes about occult hearing and seeing, they never talk about the ear. The ear is that portal. That's why they do the thing that they did the music. That's why when you go into the history of music, talking about how it went from the record, it was rock record and it had the diamond tip that was carbon on carbon. That's why when our aunts and uncles, whenever they went to the Century Club or whatever club they went to and they had that record spinning and the black people were going in there and they were going in there and they were walking out, they didn't give a fuck anymore, is because that carbon on carbon, that alchemy of that record spinning along with that rhythm of that music, that was that healing property. And that's when they dumbed it down to the mediocre compact disc, and now it's streams. And now you can't get the same feel now unless you got to equalize. You understand the equalizers of music. So you got to understand these levels of this. That's just like when you listen to binaural beats, it's the same difference. Once you understand these spells, you're able to apply them to work for you. All this shit is already you. All this shit is already yours. All this shit was already predated. Yes, you're so advanced that you're behind. Now you're just going through it to understand it. Those are those steps. As we take these steps, we're going to go further. That love of yourself is going to change your compatibility with everything else around you. Walk into it. That door that feels hot, they got that flame, walk through that flame. Allow it to burn away everything that is no longer subservient to the level that you're going to. But you got to let go of that fear. These are the keys. This is your rebirth. These are the keys. This is your rebirth. 2020, new vision. I love you. We love us. Ashe. Chicken wings and tacos.